Okay, so formally, let me begin once again. We are here to conduct this PMP training course, and we have got two students here, Eddie and Gonzalez, and we um, are going to have this is the first session. I'm going to have the introductory session first of all, and then we'll move on to lesson number one. In this session, I'll be telling you about this training, what this PMP exam prep course will include. And actually, I suppose that we should have a very interactive session. I welcome you to ask any questions anytime, wherever and whenever you feel like. So you can raise your hand or you can start speaking. I don't mind. So, before we can start, let us have a little bit of introduction. First of all, I'll go with myself. As I said, my name is Suhail Iqbal, and I'm going to be your facilitator and trainer for this course. And I have been training with PMI Training School for quite some time. I have been training otherwise for more than 23, 25 years. And I have been training this PMP, PGMP, and all other certifications of PMI. Uh, and this session, we will be concentrating on PMP exam prep. So let us have a little bit of introduction. I already know that Eddie is from Manila, Philippines, and Gonzalez is from Abu Dhabi, UAE. Gonzalez, I cannot, pronounce your first name. That's why I'm calling you Gonzalez. But anyways, if you can help me pronounce that, that would be nice. But let us start with the introductions. First, Eddie, can you introduce yourself? And before we can do that, please switch on your cameras.
Good morning, sir. My name is Eddie Pascual. I'm from the Philippines. I'm 27 years old, and currently I'm pursuing a postgraduate in the University of Nottingham.
Wonderful, wonderful. And what is your motivation for going for your PMP certification and when?
I'm with the Malaysia campus, and the purpose of my postgraduate is to work in academia in the future.
No, what about the PMP certification? Are you going for that?
PMP is for me personally because last time there were a group of there was a PMI institute that visited my campus, and so
Okay.
I was interested to apply for a PMI and a PMP for in the future, just in case I don't want to work in academia. At least I have something for the industry.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
Mm.
Thank you very much. And Gonzalez, what about you? Can't hear you. Can you switch on your mic?
Hello, good morning. I am Hyacinth Gonzalez. Uh, I've been working as a civil engineer design engineer for 20 years now. So I'm planning to take this course so that because I'm thinking of switching into managerial project management other than designing.
Okay, good, good.
Mm,
Right. Do you have project management experience in the past?
no, it's more on
Okay.
design.
And how much experience do you have otherwise?
20 years.
20 years. And during those 20 years, have you been doing some kind of initiative, some new, endeavors where you were trying to produce something which was not usual for your operational job? Have you done any such venture in that time during your 20 years?
No, I'm just content on what I am doing.
Okay. I'm trying to find out how much experience of yours can be counted towards project management. So I will define it in further detail, but I have an understanding that whatever you're doing with your 20 years of experience, probably you might have done something which could resemble a project, because you need to have at least 3 years of project management experience, and we have to find that out in your previous experience. You may not be a formal project manager as such, but if you have been involved in some kind of project, some kind of initiative, probably that can count. Right. Anyway, I'll deliberate more on that in subsequent slides, but let us first get into the introductions. Thank you very much, both of you, for your introductions. And I formally welcome you to this course. This is a PMI authorized exam prep course. That is, this course is not developed by us. This is developed by the PMI itself. And, you know, uh, uh, we are supposed to be training what PMI has created. So this is a uniformity, and we are not going to be doing something which is out of syllabus or something. If at all, you are already holding a certification called CAPM, that is Certified Associate in Project Management. Probably you both are not holding that, I suppose so.
Correct, sir. I don't hold anything.
Okay, good, good. No problem at all. But anyways, that is not a prerequisite for this. But if you have done that, you could apply for PMP directly. But anyways, that is not a problem here. Okay. Anyways, I will let you know about the certification needs, your work experience and all, and we will move on with the course. I have already taken your introductions, my introduction, so I'll skip these slides. So, okay, if at all you are going for PMP certification, there is a criteria you have to fulfill, right? Don't be disturbed if you don't have that kind of experience. I will work with you to find how can we help you apply for this certification, how can you complete these requirements. There are two kinds of people who could apply for it. One, who are at least holding a 4-year degree, that is a bachelorate degree. uh, I mean, the 16 years of education, that is a minimum requirement for applying for PMP. That is the first category. And then there are those people who do not hold a 4-year degree. They may be a diploma holder, they may be an associate. Yes, they are also allowed to apply for PMP, but naturally they have got a little different requirement. Anyways, coming back to the first category, which is holding a 4-year degree, like, both of you fulfilled that requirement. Eddie is already working for his PhD. Gonzalez already having a lot of experience and must have the graduated degree already. So you fulfill that requirement. The second requirement for this category is that you should have been leading projects for at least 36 months during your whole experience. 36 months, just 36 months, that comes out to be around 3 years. That could be scattered all over your experience. Like, 2 months project here and 1 month project there and things like that. For Gonzalez, maybe, you don't recognize your activities in your job as project, but you may have done a lot, many of them, right? Once we will define the project, probably it will be more helpful. As far as Eddie, you are concerned, I suppose you also have a lot of experience, and probably you can also fulfill these 36 months of uh, project management experience. Yes, please.
Yes, sir. Because for in Nottingham, we have to plan out our projects every year for a final year report, and
Okay.
for a PhD, with Gantt charts and the timeline and milestones.
Okay.
So I think that sort of leading a project, your own project.
Very good. Very good. And Gonzalez, what do you think? Are you a little bit, comfortable with this concept?
Yeah.
Okay, good, good. I'll help you out in finding that experience. And the third requirement is that you should have at least 35 hours of project management training, as we are doing it now, right? So this training is also a prerequisite for your PMP. And if at all you are holding a CAPM certification already, probably you don't need that training as well. But because you both of you are not holding a CAPM, no problem. You need this training, which we are conducting. So probably all of your requirements are complete, and you can apply for PMP certification after this training. Because both of you are from the first category, I need not explain the second category, but just for your information, those who do not hold a 4-year degree, they are just a school diploma holder or associate degree holder, they may have to show more experience, and not 3 years, but at least 5 years of experience in project management. That comes out to be 60 months. And the other requirement remains the same, 35 hours of training which we are conducting. I suppose there is another student trying to join. Let me get him in. Okay, we have got Mazen Awad. Let Mazen Awad properly log in, and then we will get the introductions. Yes, Mazen, can you hear me?
Yes, yes,
Okay,
I
very
can
good.
hear you.
You can switch on your camera, and we have already started. So we just got the introductions from other candidates. We have got Adi Pascal, Pascal, and Gonzalez with us, and Mazen Nawad. Please introduce yourself. What is your motivation for coming to this course? Have you done this training before and things like that? So please give your introduction.
Okay, I'm Mazen Awad from Oman and working in Dhofar electricity company. So I have 3 years experience in the distribution system. So already I joined BMP training with BM training course with Mr. Adnan in Salalah, Oman.
Okay,
So I have already done 35 hour.
good.
So now I'm preparing for BMB exam. So it is a good opportunity to get a refreshment before the exam.
Okay, very good, very good. So you are refreshing yourself. Where are you from?
Mhm. I'm from Salalah, Oman.
Oman. Okay, very good, very good.
Yes.
Okay, so we have had the introductions from all the three candidates. I am expecting one more. Uh, so let us see when the fourth person joins. But Mazin, can you please switch on your camera as if I can see you as well? Okay, very good, very good. You are
Is it
outside.
right?
Yeah.
Yes. I'm right now on my vacation in Dubai.
Okay, okay.
So because also maybe because of the privacy of the location, maybe yes, after some time I will close it
Okay, no problem, no problem.
if it is not if it is possible.
Right, right. So will you be sitting down somewhere, or uh,
Again, sorry.
will you be indoors somewhere?
Maybe after 8
Okay,
because it
wonderful.
is meeting room is closed right now. I'm
Okay,
waiting
okay.
for the security. Okay. Thank
No
you so
problem,
much.
no problem. Okay, so probably you already know that we have this criteria. You already know that where you are falling. You are falling in the first criteria or the second criteria. Are you a 4-year degree holder or a high school diploma holder? Mazin?
High school bachelor
Uh,
in board.
both. Well, you are having a bachelor's degree, right?
Yeah.
Right. And your degree is 4 years, 4-year degree.
Yes, it is 4 year.
Okay. So you fall in the first category. You need to have 36 months of project management experience. You have to have 35 hours of training, which you already have, Mazen, but you are
Yeah.
repeating it. So there is no problem. You, all three of you are fit for PMP exam. Moving on, there is a little video I want to show you. Probably Mazen has already seen that. Just a moment. Yes. You can look at the video and then we will start.
As we adapt to new ways of working and prepare for future disruption, organizations will see a growing need for skilled project managers. The PMI 2022 Jobs Report showcases emerging sectors and trending industries where project leaders can find opportunities to drive growth and innovation in every region of the globe. Countries in the Asia-Pacific region expect their economies to grow in 2022. Meanwhile, talent is in high demand in many countries and industries. While China's economy has experienced a slight slowdown, a number of factors should contribute to increased project activity, including consumer spending increases and China's energy transition plan. Supply chain disruption and rising energy prices, along with rapid digitalization, are driving an increased demand for project professionals in Europe, especially in IT. The current conflict in the region will have long-term humanitarian and economic consequences that will require response. There has been a spike in demand throughout Latin America for project managers, particularly in the technology and manufacturing sectors. Rebounding oil pricing, government investment in high-profile mega-projects, and international events like Expo 2020 Dubai and the 2022 FIFA World Cup promise to reinvigorate the region's economy and need for project managers. The Great Resignation and supply chain problems have put job seekers in high demand in the US and Canada as companies look toward automation and digitization to protect against future disruption. Despite the pandemic, the global demand for products manufactured in South Asia has continued to increase over the past 2 years. As a result, companies are willing to invest more in project managers with strong innovation and leadership skills. Nearly a third of global aid, roughly $32 billion, is spent in Africa, and that's fueling new development jobs across the region, up to 45% of which will need project talent. The demand for project talent is high around the world. Are you ready to take your career to the next level?
Okay, so you have seen this short video which emphasizes the importance of project management in all cultures and all economies. Okay, let us look at the PMP certification itself. As far as the PMP certification is concerned, they are going to test your knowledge in 3 areas, right? And these 3 areas are shown on the bottom of the left-hand side of the slide. They are people, process, and business environment. People you can also call the power skills. That is your leadership, your negotiation skills, your all kind of soft skills. You will be getting 42% questions in exam from this area. Then as far as the process is concerned, how do you conduct your projects? That is called your way of working. You will get about 50% questions from that area in your exam. And then the third topic is business environment, or you can call it business acumen. How much understanding of the business do you have, and how do you link what you are doing in your projects with your organizational objectives? How do you understand how your business strategy is working and why your project is linked to that? These things you can have questions for around 8% in the exam. As far as the way of working is concerned, PMI has recently adopted in their latest edition of PMBOK, they have embraced another approach which had been there in the market, but not really very particularly, it was adopted only in the software industry. It was very popular, and that is called agile, or we can also call it adaptive. Conventionally, we know and we see that most of the projects are being done in a predictive manner. Predictive manner is like, a top-down fashion. And in a predictive project, like in construction, like, Gonzalez will watch for that, that in construction, our projects are like pre-planned. We do have contracts, we have got things, already planned, and then we just follow the plan. But in adaptive projects, which is a new possibility, this is a new way of working in which the things are not certain, and still we go about the project, like mostly in the software industry, but not only for the software industry, but it can apply to any kind of project. So when you are starting a project, you have to decide your way of working, whether you are going to be doing this project in a predictive manner, in an adaptive manner, or something in between. Like, marrying up both the approaches, that would be called a hybrid approach. So these are the three approaches we are going to be talking about in this course. This is what is your way of working. That, as I said, it has been recently updated in the latest edition of PMBOK, which is the 7th edition, which was published back in 2021. Before that, although there was a mention of agile and adaptive in earlier versions of PMBOK, but it was just for information purposes. Now, it is part of your way of working, right? Previously, it was thought that projects will be done only in a predictive manner, but some of the projects may be done in a agile or adaptive manner. But now we do understand that any project from any industry, we have to decide whether what is going to be our way of working, whether we should do it in a predictive manner, in an adaptive manner, or a hybrid manner. So they have clearly outlined a talent triangle. This talent triangle is the three vertices, like people, process, and business environment. As you see, this is not only applicable to your exam, but to the whole project management. Once you have done your PMP certification, you would be maintaining your PMP certification according to these three vertices. You will have to gain knowledge in these three areas to, refresh your PMP certification after every 3 years. So this talent triangle, you must keep in mind, this is really very important for you. I hope that is understandable. Should I move ahead?
Yes, sir. Please move ahead.
If you have any questions, you can stop me and you can ask me, right? So far, if it is all right, then I'll move on. Okay, a very interesting thing is, although we have a standard from PMI, which is called a Guide to the Project Management Body of Knowledge, but you will be amazed to learn that that is not exactly your syllabus. What is the syllabus for this PMP certification? That is actually encapsulated in another small booklet, which is called PMP Exam Content Outline. In short, we call it ECO. You can go to your PMI website and go to the certification of PMP page. And on that page somewhere, you will find this PDF file. You should download it. Why I'm asking you to download it? I could have given it to you, but why I'm asking you to download it? Because from the PMI website, you will always get the latest edition, right? So whatever are the changes in the examination content outline, they keep updating that, and that is current for your current exam. Therefore, I will strongly recommend that you should download the PMP exam content outline. It is not really a book. It does not explain anything. It just gives out all the possible topics on which you could be asked questions in the exam. So therefore, you should keep that examination content outline in front of you while you are preparing each and every topic written there. You must prepare it no matter whether it is in the PMBOK or not. You could have consulted other books, but you should prepare yourself for the exam in all the topics which are given in ECO. That is mandatory. Why? Because the people who are writing the questions for PMP exam are not given PMBOK to make their questions, but they are given the ECO. They are just given the topics that you should create questions on these topics. So I will very strongly recommend that you should have this ECO always very close to your heart, because your PMP exam is going to be created out of that. I hope you understand. I have emphasized the importance of the ECO. Is it all right with you?
Sir, is ECO is it released every year? Is there a new version every year?
Not really, but whenever it is updated, it is always there on the website, right? And they do inform everybody that the new ECO has been released. It may be released after 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, but whenever the ECO is released, it is updated on the PMI website. So right now, I suppose they have not made any changes to it any further since 2021. But anyways, if at all there are any changes, they will be there in the ECO, and you should always consult that. Have you seen that, Mazin? Have you seen the ECO before?
Yeah, already it is here with me. The last edition was 2021, yes, January 2021.
Yeah, exactly. The latest edition
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
yes, I have it.
But you see, yeah, exactly. But you see, it is slightly, it is not exactly released alongside the PMBOK 7th edition, but it is a separate booklet, and this exam content outline is generally coincides somewhere, like, a little early or little later than the standard itself. But anyways, it is your syllabus. Basically, I should say, this is your syllabus, and this was created very carefully by a global selection of PMI members who all hold the PMP certification. And they may be working in construction, in any other industry, and it includes what they think you need to know to do the job, because it also represents the market. What is the need of the market for a PMP? What, the people in the market want to see, the characteristics, the roles a project manager should be able to play. So basically, this is governed by that. So it's because of a market survey which is conducted internationally after every 5 to 7 years, that they revise the examination content outline. So it is not revised every year. It could be revised after 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, or maybe up after 7 years, when the market trends change. So anyways, this is what the ECO is like. I'll explain the ECO later, but let us go to the PMP exam format. Naturally, you do understand that for your PMP exam, you might be getting a number of questions. The number of questions is 180. 180 questions are going to be there in your exam. And you will have approximately 4 hours, a little less than that. It is 230 minutes, not 240 minutes, 230 minutes to complete the exam. During those 230 minutes, you may get 2 optional 10-minute breaks. Well, at least one break is going to be there, but you can have another break. But I will explain to you how should you take the break. Normally, probably after you have attempted about 60 to 70% of the exam, you are reminded to take a break, right? And if at all you want to take a break, you can take a 10-minute break. This is an optional break. You can skip that and you can continue your exam. But if at all you take the break, remember that whatever questions you have attempted so far, you have to submit those questions. Say you have attempted 60% questions, so they have to be submitted and you can't review them after that. Once you come back from the break, you will be offered further questions, but you cannot review the old questions you have already submitted. Anyways, questions are of various types. They could be multiple choice, they could be multiple response, they could be matching questions, they could be hotspot questions, they could be fill in the blanks, and I'll be showing you some examples of these questions, right? As if you get conversant with that. Anyways, your course, which I'll be teaching you, is divided into 6 lessons. Lesson number 1 would be about the business environment. You remember, I did talk about the business environment and business acumen while I was discussing the talent triangle. This is extremely very important. Although you remember that we have got only 8% of questions from this area, but mind it, this is one of the most important areas because everything else in project management begins with this. Everything is linked to the business environment, to the business strategy, to the objectives of the organization. Therefore, I suppose you must have a fair understanding of business environment. That would be covered in lesson number 1. Then lesson number 2 is about starting the project. 3, about planning the project. 4, about leading the team. 5, about supporting project team performance. And finally, the 6th lesson is about closing the project. Now, this you should not mistake by considering that these are all the processes. No, they are not all the processes. Actually, I have already told you the talent triangle. So some of these areas you will have more of the process involved. In some of these lessons, we will talk about more of the people involvement. And naturally, as you see in lesson number 1, we have more emphasis on the business environment. So all the 3 vertices in a little different balance would be discussed in each one of these lessons. More emphasis on business environment in lesson number 1. Lesson number 2 is mostly about people, because you are bringing the team on board and you are communicating with other people. So this is more of the people skill and little bit of process. In planning, there is a lot of process. In leading the team, again, it is dealing with the people. So it will be people skill, a little bit of process. In lesson number 5, you are supporting the team performance. Again, this is a combination of process and people. And the last chapter is naturally, again, the process, right? So these are the 6 lessons we will be discussing in whole of this course. So as I have already told you that we have got in the latest edition of PMBOK, our way of working could be predictive, adaptive, or hybrid, and you have to choose whatever project comes your way. You have to decide how you want to do this project. Naturally, we will discuss how do you decide that. But anyways, because this course is going to be talking about all the three ways of working, therefore, these symbols would be used on the slides. If you see this symbol, then that particular slide is talking about predictive. If you see this symbol, it would be talking about adaptive. And if you see this symbol, it will be talking about hybrid. There might be certain slides which could show more than these things. Like, you could have a predictive and adaptive symbol both shown on the slide. That means that slide pertains to both areas. Whatever is written on the slide is applicable for predictive as well as adaptive, right? I hope you understand that point. So this is a symbology we would be using to refer to the ways of working. Moreover, there are other icons we would be using on the slide. If there is an important slide, you may like this, may see this symbol. If there is some interactivity or kind of a question answer or something, interactive discussion is required, so probably this symbol could be there. If you are supposed to be using your expert judgment, the slide concerns making a judgment, that may show this symbol. If you are discussing a tool or technique, that might show this symbol. If we are asking you a question, then this could be the symbol. If I want to leave you for a group discussion or something, it could be this symbol. And if you have to make a note from that slide, that could be this symbol. I hope you can see all these symbols. Moreover, although that this facility might not be available on with you because I am presenting it, but on your slides, you might see this symbol like a book on the left-hand slider. That means further description of certain topics which are shown in blue on the slide, in a blue color, could be invoked. And if at all you see this symbol on a slide while I'm teaching, and I don't show you those further description, you can ask me to please click on the slider, because if I click on the slider, it will, for example, project management is written in blue here. The definition of the project manager will appear on the left-hand side. Just look at it, how I click on the slider and the definition of project management appears. Can you see that? So I can do it, you can't do it from there, but because I am presenting, so if at all I don't do it, please tell me that there is a slider and you can show the definition. So what is the definition of project management, for example? It says the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to project activities to fulfill the project plan. We will discuss that later, but generally, this is how the slider works. I have come back. Moving on. I hope you have been provided some material by Dr. Faz from PM Training School. And in that material, you will find a project case study that is called Shoppe Industries. So that is a project we would be discussing throughout the project, wherever we may need to make a reference to. The project manager for that project is Mr. Ang Fen. And maybe, this caricature appears on the slide and you may have to interact with him to help him or things like that, or to ask questions or to answer some questions for that. So you may have to interact with the project manager, the project team members, the stakeholders, and all that. So this is going to be an immersive fictional scenario. It is not real scenario. This is a fictional scenario of a hybrid project, which includes review and reinforcement of project management concepts and practices, practice exam questions. So you could practice yourself on that, and you can actually prepare for your PMP exam. So please have a look at that case study, and we would be referring to it again and again. Generally, this Shoppe Lifestyle Center SLC project is like, the basic requirement for that is the project team will develop and build a lifestyle center. That's why we call it Shoppe Lifestyle Center. And where it is being done, it is being done in a historic Oasis town district. Now, what is this Oasis town? This could also be a fictional name, but this is kind of a old town somewhere. And this project will include design and occupancy of retail and community spaces. So you are trying to develop a kind of a shopping center or a plaza or something like that, and that is funded by Oasis Town Municipality. Again, I would say Oasis Town is not a name of any town, it is just a fictional name. So there is a municipality of that town, and that municipality is funding the project. Then who is developing the project? The development partner is, again, a fictional name, Oasis Architects. And then $7 million is the initial capital budget for this project, and the duration for the project is 36 months. And these are the people you might be interacting with. Here is the project manager standing second from the left, and then there is a bearded guy on the left-hand side that might be the sponsor or someone. So these are all various stakeholders who would be involved and with whom you would be interacting. So this is just an introduction, but we will get to know these people in more detail. So that is that. We are done with the first part, and if you have any questions about it, the whole thing that I discussed in the introductory portion, you can ask any questions right now. Anyone? Anything which is bothering you, you need a little more explanation about it. Naturally, I'll explain all those things further on the slides. But if you have any quick questions, we can do that. Okay. If there are no questions, let me switch to the other presentation, that is lesson number 1. Okay. Tell me if you can see the this slide on the presentation, the lesson number 1, business environment. Can you see that? Okay, good. In this lesson, we have got these topics to discuss. This is about the business environment. And if you remember, I did talk about the business acumen or the business environment as one of the vertices of the talent triangle and one of the most important ones. Although this carries only 8% of the exam questions, but as I said, this is one of the very important areas. This is the foundation. This is the basis for the whole project management. Everything you do in project management hinges on how well are you linked with your business environment. How well do you understand your business environment and the strategy of your organization? And whatever you are doing, is it really aligned with the organizational strategy? So that is the important question. So the topics we are going to be discussing here are the foundation itself, the strategic alignment, project benefits and value, organization culture and change management, and the last two topics are project governance and project compliance. I must tell you, these are all very important topics, and you must pay your attention and do ask questions if you have any confusions about anything, right? So, moving on to the next slide. This is just an explanation of those points which I have shown you on the main slide. So you can read through that. Here we need to define the project and how it relates to the larger discussion of project management. Here we need to discuss the different types of organizational structures and how they relate to your project management. We need to discuss the principles of project management. We need to discuss the principles of agile and how they relate to your project management. This is with the perspective of the project management only. On the other hand, we will discuss the strategic alignment, how these things link with our business strategy. So discuss strategic alignment and its elements. That includes explaining the impact of business factors on strategic alignment. So you see, what are the various factors in the business which are impacting your project, and how does it impact you from keeping your alignment with your organization, right? I mean, strategic alignment with the objectives of the organization, but there are other factors like weather, like government regulation and things like that. They are also kind of impacting you, and they are making you astray from your path. So how do you bind yourself with your direction? So determine how a project aligns with the business strategy, identify types of business value, describe change management theory. Now this is again very important, and when I talk about change management, that could have a different perspective. There could be a change at an organizational level, and there could be a change within the project. So I'm here talking about the bigger change at the organizational level. So you must understand the change management theory and its relation to the organizational change. How organizations bring changes in themselves, that could be governed by the change management theory. Then we need to define and discuss the project governance and explain the project compliance and its importance. That is what is going to be discussed in this lesson. First of all, let's talk about foundations. If at all you feel that you want to talk anything, you want to ask any questions, please stop me, because I really want you to be more interactive in this session. If you have any confusion about anything, please stop me and ask questions, right? And if at all you need a break, do let me know. If things are too much for you so far, probably we have to take a break or something like that, because we did not even complete 1 hour. So I did not give you break after your introductory lecture, and I just started on with lesson number 1. Okay, let me ask you, what do you think a project is? Although there is something written on the slide, but I don't want you to read it from there. I want you to give your own opinion. What is a project? Starting with Eddie.
Sir, I think a project is time management and management of allocated funds
Mm-hmm.
and an end goal, a major milestone towards the end.
Okay, good. And what about you, Gonzalez?
Yeah, same thing. A project has a goal,
Mm-hmm.
timeline, and the key person who will be working on those roles.
Good. And Mazen?
So project management is creating a new thing or unique for the community or organization, which
Mhm.
is depend on the time and scope and cost.
Good enough. Good enough. Uh, let us have a little discussion on that. All of you are right in saying whatever you are saying, but my question is, how do you differentiate a project with your normal work, with your normal operational work? And this question is especially highlighted for Gonzalez. How can you differentiate a project and your normal work?
So mostly I am working on a development project. So on a development project, we are there's a lot of person involved. There's a on commercial level and on design level,
Mm-hmm.
design part. So I am involved in the design part. What I have known is that from the commercial part, they have started the proposal,
Mm-hmm.
the bids to win the project. And then
Okay.
on the design part, we have this project manager who is
Mm-hmm.
handling all those department. Since we are designing on the infrastructure, there are so other discipline involved like electrical, utilities, wet
Mm-hmm.
utilities and dry utilities, something like that.
Okay.
So
Uh,
so that's it.
you are dealing with a development project in some way. Why do you
Mhm.
think you are not involved in project management?
Because I'm not um not a manager. Not a manager. I'm not involved in the client.
Okay. You are
That's what I'm
you're
thinking.
not you're not supposed to be a project manager for doing project management.
Mhm.
Whatever you are doing may be part of the project management activities broadly. What you're doing, the designing work, is probably part of planning of the project. You are dealing with a unique situation. But
Mhm.
because you are doing repetitive work, that's
Mhm.
why you think that whatever you're doing is not a project, but it is an operation. That is the defining difference between a project and an operation. Project is supposed to be producing something new product, service, or result. But operations like manufacturing, they are manufacturing the same product over and over again. So that is a repetitive process. Probably you think that designs you are producing is your job, and those designs you are repetitively producing, therefore you are involved in a operation. But whatever you are producing, if it is giving out some kind of a unique product, it is always a new design, and it is, giving rise to a new building somewhere, then probably you are playing a role in a project. You understand me? So in a way, I would say in your 20 years experience, there is a lot of project management involved. The only thing you are lacking is probably being a project manager yourself, right? So you have to somehow represent yourself as a project manager, maybe within the design team. You may have challenges, you may have timelines, you have to complete this design within a specific time frame. So automatically you become a kind of a project manager within your design department, right? So yes, you have to think like that. What is your opinion, Eddie?
For me, in my case, it's to satisfy my professor, who's my supervisor.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to report my milestones to him and submit pieces or drafts of my work to my supervisor. So I report
Okay,
to someone who is high above me.
okay. And that person who is normally high above the project manager is generally referred to as a project sponsor, whom you call the supervisor. He is your project sponsor. He has the authority to accept or reject whatever you are submitting and things like that, right? So probably you are dealing with your supervisor as a project manager. Yes, of course, you are right. But these points are very important to note here. Project always creates something new, something unique. It is always limited by time. You see, the development process, the production process, might not be limited. If a factory is producing some parts, they will keep producing those parts forever, maybe. They are not limited by time. But a project has got a timeline, project has got an objective to meet. As soon as that objective is met, the time is over, right? So it will finish somewhere. The objective will be achieved at some point in time. Therefore, we say projects are time limited. I hope that point is really clear.
Yes, sir, it is. It applies to my work as well.
Okay,
Because
good.
sometimes the projects don't go as you planned, so you have to report due to the essence of time.
Exactly.
Therefore,
Exactly. I'll come to the changes within the project later, but the most important thing is that the project you are trying to do is actually going to bring a larger change at the organizational level. Whatever research you are doing, Pascal, is probably for the good. You are trying to change the way of working of the organization, of the research community, of a specific topic. So you are inventing something new. You are bringing a new change. You are driving the change. So the projects drive change always. A production facility or a marketing facility might not be driving any change. They might be doing the repetitive work. But a project always has an objective to do something new, to invent a new way of working, to invent a new product, a unique product, to create something new. Therefore, a project will always drive change. It will change the direction of the organization altogether. Last but not the least, a project enables value creation for a business and an organization. So although I said that a project drives change, but what if this change is not for the good of the organization? Such a change is not advisable. It is not recommended. We want to bring the change to the organization which should be beneficial for the organization. And therefore, whatever the change we are focusing on must create value for the organization. It must be beneficial for the organization. There must be some feasibility done before you do something. When you start your research, you must have considered a lot many topics, and then you might have selected the most appropriate one. Right? Similarly,
right,
for Gonzalez, well, you might have been debating about various options in design, and naturally you are going for the best option, aren't you? So value creation is really very important. Now, apart from the proper definition of the project, let me tell you how the success of the project, what are the things on which it is dependent. Right? I'm not going into the detail of the definition of the project or the project management right here. We can discuss it later. But generally speaking, how do you think a project can be successful? For the success of the project, what all is needed in an organization? First of all,
sir, I think it's
yes,
good
please.
people, sir. I think it's good people.
It's people, right?
Like,
okay. Any other views, Gonzalez?
For me, if you meet the deadline with quality.
Say again.
If you meet the deadline, submit.
Okay.
Yeah. And then with quality.
Right. Uh, yes, of course. So basically, you are probably talking about the experience, skill of the team, of the people, of the project manager, of the overall organization, awareness of project management in the organization, how effective the project manager is, things like that. So I'm not going into the details, but generally speaking, in a broader sense from the organizational perspective, an organization must be mature enough to deal with projects, meaning they must have done a lot many projects in the past and they must have learned their lessons. They must have learned the ropes. They must know how the project management is done. So an organization will get mature in the discipline of project management with a lot of history, a lot of experience, right? It is not just a matter of a good project manager or a good project team, but generally, if an organization is in the habit of running successful projects for years, then they have got procedures in place. They are mature enough to conduct the project. So you will be more confident to get a project done through such an organization who have maturity in project management. Number one. Number two, naturally, the project manager. Project manager is also important because project manager, the more effective this project manager, naturally, he can respect time, he can do quality, things like that. All of those things are included in the effectiveness of the project manager. But again, it is not only the project manager who does this job. Team members who are included with the project manager, their skills also matter, right? So good organization, good project manager, good team. And another point is that whatever you are doing, you should have enough funding and resources available. If your funding is cut down in the middle of the project is going to suffer, right? If there is a war going on in your country and there are no resources available, the project will be killed, right? So funding and resource availability is also a very major criteria for the success of the project because it can suffocate a project if these things are not made available in time. Then there is a very important thing that is naturally we have got project manager, we have got team members, we have got organization, we have got stakeholders, other people who are involved with the project, who have some interest in the project. You have to deal with them. All the stakeholders, you have to deal with them on a continuous basis. This is a matter of continuous collaboration and communication, not only within the team, but also with all the key stakeholders who have any stakes in the project. If you have got good collaboration and communication going on with all the things, all the people, then probably your project is moving towards success. If you don't talk to anyone, there will be a lot of misunderstandings, misinformation, or no communications. Because of the no communication, there might be a lot of problems. And no matter how good you are as a project manager or as a team member or how mature your organization is, if you don't collaborate, your project is not a success. And last but not the least, that we come back to the business acumen part of it, that do you have a fair understanding of what you are doing? What is the core problem? You must be able to understand the related needs of that problem and how does it link with the organizational need? How does it create value to the organization? How important is it to be done? So you should have a fair understanding of the core problem. So these are some of the things which lead to your project success. I hope we have a fair idea about what a project is and how does a project success get defined.
Yes, sir. The collaboration part is my main issue when working with other research groups.
Exactly. Because that can really put you off. Your project can go to failure if you don't really collaborate well in time with all your stakeholders. Okay. As far as the history of project management is concerned, from the point of view of the PMI, in 1969, when PMI was founded, they have created a definition for project management at that point in time. And that is a pretty good definition, and that is still valid. That says application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to the project activities to meet the project requirement. Now, this might look a little strange to you. There is no mention of time, there is no mention of cost, quality, or things like that. But we are not defining those things. We are defining the project management. So, what do you need for the project management? You need certain knowledge how to do the projects, right? You need to have some education in how to do the projects, right? So you must have knowledge of project management. I'm not talking about the specific project you are going to deal with, but a generic knowledge of project management, you must have attained that from somewhere. So for doing a project, you need to have the knowledge of project management. And that is not enough. Maybe, you do have the knowledge. You have attended a course on project management. You know all about the Gantt charts and this and that. You do have the knowledge, but at the same time, you do not have any experience of doing the project. You still are not really good enough. You should have applied that knowledge you have learned and gained experience. That is called skills. So it is not only the skills. Yes, I do understand. There are people in this world who do not have any knowledge, but they have got a lot of skills. That is, they have learned it the hard way, right? But you see, what do you think? Is it all right that you do things by your gut feeling and experience without any knowledge? Are you going to be always successful that way? Gonzalez? There are people who are street smart. They learn things very fast, but they don't have any formal knowledge. So what do you think? Are they going to be always successful?
For me, it may be not always successful since they don't have this concrete background.
Yeah,
or
they don't
knowledge.
have the procedural knowledge, right? When you get an education, you are taught all the ways of working, how to do this, how to do that, and with all the pros and cons. So an educated person has knowledge, but naturally they are soft on the skill side. A graduate coming out of a university may not have any experience, but they have all the knowledge. They may not be good enough in the field, but after some time, when they will experience in the field, they will try to apply that knowledge in the field. They will start gaining experience and skills. So skills on top of knowledge is very beneficial. Although I don't say that an uneducated person cannot have any skills. They can definitely have skills, but they always learn things the hard way. You, as a graduate, you know all the possible ways of doing things. They have been taught to you. But a person who is not educated would not have that knowledge, and he would experiment with everything. And wherever he or she succeeds, they will adopt it as their experience, which might not be the best option. But that person thinks because that is their personal experience. They think that this is the best option and nobody can do it better than them. Do you agree with me?
Yes, sir. Usually we have to work with those people with skills, but lack certain project
Exactly.
management attitude.
Exactly. So these are the two things, knowledge and skills. Definitely you agree with my point of view, why they are important. But at the same time, let us also talk about two other things. These are the tools and techniques. As a designer, Gonzalez, what are your tools? What is the tool you use for designing?
Uh, Basically, my tools will be what I have learned from my civil engineering course. I have applied it on the actual actual design.
Right. But do
Mhm.
you use any tool? Do you use any
The
any
software,
scale, any software, any scale,
yeah,
any device, right?
yeah, I'm using software for the design.
Maybe a drawing board, right? That is also a tool,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Yeah, I even
yeah,
okay.
although you have been taught how to use these tools, but when you are in the field, you have to learn tools all the time, new tools, like software, like other things. So these tools are also required. If you are a designer and you are not given any tools, no matter how much knowledge or skills you have, you may not still be successful because you don't know how to use the tool. The latest tool in the market, you don't know how to do it. So tools are also required. And interestingly, what is a technique? Again, very important. If you have a tool, but you don't know how to use it, you have the tool available with you. You have a software for designing available to you, but you need to learn about it. You don't know how to actually use it. That is the technique. So you see, all these four things, you must have the knowledge, you must have the skills, you must have the tools available to do what you are doing, and you must know the technique to use that tool as well. You see, these are the four things which you apply on your project activities as if you can meet the requirements of the project, the objective of the project, or whatever you said, the deadline or whatever you want to call it. We are not mentioning the time here. We are not talking about the deadline. We are talking about the objective. That is the requirements of the project. To meet the requirements of the project, we have to do certain project activities. And those project activities are the things where you apply your project management knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques. This is the wholesome definition of project management. You see, there is no mention of scope, no mention of time, no mention of cost, nothing. It is the bare truth we are talking about. We are doing all this for doing certain activities as if we can meet the project requirement. That is the sole purpose of the project management. And that is a definition which is valid till today. That is the standard definition of project management. Do you agree with me?
Yes, sir. It's been there for a while.
Okay, very good. Now, with the introduction of the seventh edition of PMBOK, they have kind of added a certain things to it, a certain concept which had not really been very common earlier. They have been added. Although I don't say that the previous definition of 1969 is no more valid, that is 100% valid, but now they have introduced the concept of outputs and outcomes. Earlier, we used to say deliverables. The project will deliver something. So we were more concerned about the product of the project and the deliverables. But there are parts of the industry, like the development sector, they don't use the terms like product or the deliverable. These terminologies are normally used by production facilities or projects in production, that they have got a product, they have got a deliverable. In development projects, we rather like to call them outputs or outcomes because they are not classically the physical products. They might be, some advantages coming out of the project. So they could be the outputs or outcomes. Now let us introduce ourselves to the concept of the output and the outcome. How do you differentiate between an output and an outcome? Mazin, are you there?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay. Can you answer this question? How can we differentiate between output and outcome?
So I think the output will be the entire entire result or something, but outcome will be the result which is expected from us before.
Okay. Does that mean that a small activity you are doing doesn't have any output? If you're talking about the entire result, then probably the result of a small activity, will you not like to call it an output of that activity?
So, sorry again.
You said the entire
That
output. Is that what you said? You said output is the entire thing,
yeah.
right? But I'm saying that why entire? You are talking about the whole, the ultimate deliverable of the project. Is that the output? Or anything produced during the project at any point in time is output?
So I mean the output will be the everything which is getting by the project,
Right?
but the outcome only the main result, which is we are planning for it.
Okay. If I say that output is like a deliverable or a product which comes out from any part of the work in the project, but the benefit which comes out of that deliverable will be the outcome. Not, again, I would not like to call it a entire thing, because outputs could be very small and every output may have associated benefits, immediate outcomes. Agree with me or not?
Yes.
Although I still agree with you that at a larger scale, a project could have a larger output, and that output could result in a certain benefit. That could be an immediate benefit, which is an outcome. But at the same time, even a small little activity within the project may have yielded an output which could have its own outcomes. So outputs and outcomes are associated. Outcomes are more like benefits, immediate benefits coming out of the product, and outputs are the physical products. Do you agree with me?
Yes, now it is clear for me.
Okay. Gonzalez, what is your view about it? How do you, comment on that?
Output is the what is expected, and outcome is the result.
Outcome is the result. Very good. Very good. So outcome is a result, but output is something which is kind of physical, right? You say that I will construct this room and you have constructed this room, right? That is output. The room has been constructed, but does it serve the purpose? That is the outcome. That could be the acceptance criteria. That could be included in the acceptance criteria, that this room should fulfill this criteria. This should be livable. This should be like this and this. So if those criteria are met, then it has actually proven that the outcomes are okay. So output and outcome can be very closely associated. Every output could have certain outcomes. There could be the whole entire output, and then there could be a whole entire outcome of our project. Eddie, are you with me on that?
Yes, sir. The purpose of the project is to deliver good outcomes.
Exactly, but not without the product, not without the output, right? Output, like, if you want to relate it with the previous thing, that deliverable are the deliverable or the product, what we called in a development sector, we called it an output, right? That output has an extended definition attached to it. That is, it should be useful, it should be beneficial. So the benefit of that when yielded, it is called the outcome. So every output, no matter how small that output is, that deliverable is, that will ultimately have some association with some outcome. And that is not only at the micro level, but at the entire project level, we could have output of a project and outcome of that project. Outcome associated with the larger entire output, right? So by definition, given in PMBOK 7th edition, it says projects do not simply produce outputs, but more importantly, enable those outputs to drive outcome. That is very important. If you have produced an output, but it doesn't really work as desired, then it is of no use. So most importantly, it should enable that outcome to drive certain results, certain outcomes that will ultimately be able to deliver value. That's why we did this project, that we want it to be beneficial, right? So it will deliver value to the organization and its stakeholder. So that means if you have delivered an output which is not actually delivering value to the organization, then it is useless. It has no outcome. So just having a room constructed is not sufficient. Room should be livable. It should have certain characteristics which should be fulfilled. Only then it will be beneficial, right?
Yes, sir. Project should have clear deliverables and should state that the reason for undeliverables.
Right, right. So I won't say that any one of this definition has been replaced by the other, but although in 1969 the definition given is very much applicable, it is very good enough, but the latest definition is kind of an addendum to that, and it talks about outputs and outcomes now, in addition to whatever we know about the project management already. Anyways, so you are very clear about what is a deliverable, what is a product, what is a output, and what is an outcome, right? Let us move on.
Sir, can you press the interactive slide on the left?
Yeah,
That
of course.
button?
Of course. Just a moment. And, I don't think there is an interactive slide. No, there is no. It is just, we had a discussion here that was interactive required. This interactive sign is our discussion. We are talking, right? But if there is a book sign here, then it will show the definition, right? Okay. Okay. Before I can start on with that, if you need to take a little break, we have already been talking for more than 90 minutes now. So do you want to take a break?
No, sir, I'm fine. You may proceed.
Okay.
I don't know about others.
Okay. Gonzalez, is it all right with you to continue?
That's fine with me.
Okay, fine. I'll continue. Mazin, are you all right with it?
Yeah, we can continue.
Okay, wonderful. So, okay, now we have got, kind of a life cycle and development approaches which are available, or in other words, what I said, the ways of working. Actually, the predictive way of working and the agile way of working, actually, they are the two extreme ways. They are two opposite ways of doing the same thing. A project could be done in a predictive manner or it could be done in an agile manner. This sign on top is the predictive sign, predictive project management. That is one way of working. And agile is another way of working. They both are extremely opposite approaches to each other. They are 180-degree opposite. Why? Let us talk about it. The predictive one is a plan-based approach, whereas the agile one is the adaptive one, or agile, you can call it agile or adaptive. The adaptive is change-based approach. What does that mean? Do you have any thoughts about it, Eddie?
Which one, sir? For which part?
What do you think the difference between plan-based and change-based approach?
Plan-based, if your project is time sensitive, let's say 12 months, so we're required to submit a plan-based Gantt chart.
Okay.
Like the definition says, one has to be completed before you can proceed. But change-based approach is hard to submit in a Gantt chart. So I'm not sure about, this is my first time seeing change-based approach.
Okay, we'll talk about it. Gonzalez, what are your views about it?
Sorry, I'm lagging. I cannot sleep. I cannot think.
Okay, no problem. If at all you need a break, do let me know. We want to have your undivided attention, right? I was asking, what is the difference between a plan-based approach and a change-based approach? Plan-based is the predictive approach, and the change-based is the adaptive approach. I know you may not be very well aware about the adaptive things, but generally speaking, a plan-based approach can only be used where the requirements are quite clear. You know what you're doing, and there is very little likelihood of any changes in this kind of a project. So you can plan everything upfront. Such a project can be done through a plan-based approach. But if the requirements of the project are not very clear, the scope is changing all the time, and you are expecting a lot of change in the project, probably you cannot plan everything upfront, and therefore you may have to resort to the change-based approach. Does this difference make some sense to you? If the scope is absolutely clear, the requirements are, you have to construct a building, you have been provided with a design, maybe, all the requirements, and you have agreed on and signed on a contract, and nothing is expected to change broadly. This is a plan-based approach. But on the other hand, there is a project in which customer is changing their mind all the time. They are not really sure what to do and what not to do, and still they want you to start working on something. So you start with something, but you don't have the whole plan. That is a change-based approach. Anyways, in a plan-based approach, activity is completed in a distinct and linear fashion because you have already planned, you have created a Gantt chart, so you just follow that Gantt chart in a linear fashion and you keep doing it. And then you could break your plan-based approach or predictive project into various phases. every new phase begins only when the previous phase is completed. You may divide your project into a number of phases, 3, 4, or 5, and you can say, okay, until the phase 1 is complete, we will not proceed with the start of phase 2. Until the phase 2 is approved, we cannot go on to phase 3. So you can distinctly divide your project into phases and you can continue, right? Because the requirements are clear, because you have got all the plans ready and you are doing it in a linear fashion. On the other hand, as I said, in an agile or adaptive project, it is a change-based approach. You do not have all the details, but whatever details are available with you, you decide to move ahead with that. You want to start working on those things which are clear and leave out those things which are not clear. And you keep learning new details, new requirements over time, and keep designing your further increments. You don't have phases, you work in small increments. You say, okay, whatever you have told me, whatever requirements you have told me, although they are not complete, but I will start working on them. And while I am working on them for the, say, next week or two, you think of more requirements and do tell me after 2 weeks. And after I have done what I am doing, I will start doing the next set of requirements in the next iteration. So because you have divided your work into small iterations, fixed iterations, maybe say 2 weeks iterations. So after every 2 weeks, you will get new requirements and you keep going on and on. This is called agile, incremental, or iterative development. And because you have fixed the time for each iteration, it is called time-boxed cadence. Time-boxed cadence means that you will have your iteration size limited to some time, maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or 4 weeks. But whatever you decide, all the iterations subsequently will be of the same duration always. We'll wait for new requirements and then we work for 2 weeks. Then we'll wait for further new requirements, work for 2 weeks. Our iteration size is not going to change. I know you may not have experience with the adaptive kind of projects, but does it make any sense to you? Yes, Gonzalez, does it make any sense to you?
Well, I have this question in mind.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you an example, and I'm not sure which category will it fall. Will it be predictive or adaptive? Say, for example, you are in a construction.
Mm-hmm.
You are supposed to build this example tunnel, and
Okay.
then the equipment is not available, and then you do it manually. Will it
Mm-hmm.
fall still on the uh predictive, or it's now adaptive, since you are changing your strategy on how to deliver the
Okay, when you assume this is a predictive project and you have to change the strategy, what will you do? The person who have given you the requirement, will you go back to them and ask them, well, okay, we couldn't do it as planned, so what do you think? Should we do it this way? Then this will cost extra. Do you pay? Are you ready to pay for that? Isn't it? So you
yes, yes.
replan. So even in
Mm-hmm.
a predictive project, there is a concept of change management there. We can bring changes to the project. But if the changes are not too many, it's not always, after every week you are bringing new changes. If it is not there, only couple of changes here and there, then we can still do it with a predictive manner. And in construction projects, normally we go with a predictive manner. But even if in a construction project, if you see that the changes are too many, the uncertainty is too high, it is a highly risky project, probably that is the time that you can start thinking, even in a construction project, to do it in some other way, some adaptive manner.
How can you quantify if the change is too high?
Okay.
It's like
Well,
how
there
many
are
percent?
there are tools to do that. There are tools to do that. That is basically the decision when you are making for your way of working, which is the best way of doing this project, whether we should go for predictive or adaptive. You do your research in the beginning, and if you find that this is a pretty normal project and there are going to be on and off little bit of changes throughout the project, naturally when you are doing the contract with your customer, uh, probably that is a point where you decide that how much of change in requirements could be there, how much of uncertainty is there. For example, you have to import some equipment for that project, and that equipment has got a lot of risk that it may or may not be available in time, or maybe there is a war going on in your country, and probably the things are uncertain about something. So probably can you deal with it in a predictive manner? If you can't, then probably you may decide that we have to change our approach to a change driven one. Otherwise, if it can be handled, if it can be managed within the predictive mindset, probably you can still go on with a plan based approach. So I can't really give you a specific answer to that, but naturally there are tools by which you can determine the uncertainty, the riskiness, the change orientation of a project, and ultimately be able to fairly decide which approach should you be using.
So I may conclude that if you are still going to plan, it would be predictive, even if you change strategy. But
Yeah,
if
no
there's
more.
a lot of
Yeah.
if there's a lot of change that may affect the previous plan, it would be fall on adaptive. Am I
Well,
right?
you have to change your way of working, and naturally you have to keep bring again your customer into confidence that because you are changing the requirement all the time, probably we previously decided to do in a predictive manner, but it is getting out of hand. So let us sit down and redefine the contract, right?
Okay.
We can do that. We can always do that. But generally, in the beginning of the project, we should be able to decide the approach, which is the method you are going to be using. Although I did mention earlier that there is a third method which is called hybrid, and that could be something in between the predictive and agile. But I'm not discussing that because we are just trying to differentiate the two extreme points. One extreme point is the predictive, and other extreme point is the adaptive. Because hybrid is a combination of both, so we are not talking about it right now. What are the key roles in a predictive project? Naturally, the key roles are the project sponsor, like the supervisor for ADDIE, project manager, ADDIE himself, and if at all there is a team involved with you, that team would work under you. So these are the key roles: project sponsor, project manager, and naturally the working party. In an agile project, the key roles are very different. We don't have a project sponsor as such. We rather have a product orientation in an agile project. We do not have a work orientation. We have product orientation. So basically, there is a person, a senior person, called a product owner who actually is responsible for controlling the value proposition. That is, what is to be produced. He keeps discussing with the customer, what do you want? How do you want it? He keeps framing the requirements all the time with the customer, while the project team keeps working on in small iterations to deliver the requirements which are already known. Right? So project team is a key player here, product owner is a key player here, and then what you call a project manager. We don't have a project manager in an agile project. We rather call that as a team lead or a scrum master or maybe an agile coach or maybe a facilitator. So no defined role for a project manager, but a leader for the team. Now this team lead actually is just a servant leader. He doesn't exercise any powers at all. He is just a facilitator. Actually, all the decisions of the work, how to do it, when to do it, these are all being made by the team themselves. The team lead is just there to serve them, to help them, to facilitate them, not to order them around. It is very unlike a predictive project, because in a predictive project manager is the boss. He decides everything, he plans everything. Whereas in an agile team, project team makes all the decisions and project manager is their servant. Project manager serves them, facilitates them, helps them, trains them, coaches them, but cannot order them. That is a key difference between a predictive and an agile team. Are you all right with the concept?
Yes, sir. It's more of a dynamic approach rather than static.
Exactly. It is very dynamic, highly dynamic. Okay, so what is the value delivery proposition for a predictive project? Naturally, because we have planned everything upfront, we have got a very good control, things are not changing much, so deliverables are transitioned to the customer at the end of the project. And value is realized, both in short term and long term. Short term, like outcomes, and long term, the big benefit, which is expected from the whole project. Long-term benefit and short-term benefit. The value is delivered through that. Whereas in an agile project, because we are working in a very uncertain environment, we do not have all the requirements in place. So we are working in small iterations, and at the end of every iteration, we deliver something. Say we worked for 2 weeks, whatever requirements were known, and we delivered that. So iteratively, we keep delivering no matter how many increments we have to go on with. But with the end of every increment, we are able to deliver something. So it is iterative or incremental delivery to customer during life cycle, right? And while we deliver after every 2 weeks, we get a feedback from the customer, whether it is acceptable, not acceptable, and things like that. And feedback cycle is more frequent than a predictive project. This enables us to continuous development of value toward the final product. So we are not giving the whole value upfront, but we are consistently giving some value at the end of every increment, and ultimately this keeps adding up towards the final product of the project. Are you okay with that? Now, as far as the hybrid approach, the third approach is concerned, as I already mentioned to you, this could be a combination of predictive and agile or adaptive. This could be any combination. So if I say the predictive approach is east and adaptive approach is west, anything between east and west could be hybrid. So maybe the project you are trying to do in a hybrid manner could be 50% predictive and 50% agile, could be 80% predictive and 20% agile, maybe 20% predictive and 80% agile. I don't know in what combination, but any variation is called hybrid. Anything in between the east and west, anything in between the predictive and adaptive method, which is a combination of both in any proportion, I would like to call it a hybrid approach. Do you agree with me?
Yes, sir. Both static and dynamic.
Exactly. So just to give you an example, maybe you are doing a predictive project, but there are a lot many changes happening at the lower end where the people are working. So you may decide that at the lower end, we will have agile teams working in increments, while the whole project at top would be governed by a predictive manner. This is very much possible. It can also be vice versa. Maybe we have got a highly agile organization and everything in the organization is done in a agile manner. So maybe the top mechanism which is coming from the organization downwards is agile, but the nature of the project is such that it should be done in a predictive manner. Maybe lower down it is being done in a predictive manner, but upper management is exercising agile more. It's an agile organization. So anyways, any combination could be there, but as in our project case study, you see that it is a hybrid project with predictive on top and agile at bottom. I hope that makes some sense. Okay, we will leave this discussion here. You can ponder on that while we talk about few other topics here. Still, I again offer you, if you want to take a break, you can do that because we are starting a new topic. Will 5 minutes be okay with you?
All right. All right.
Let's have a 5-minute break and I will be back again.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, thank you for being back. It was a short break. If at all you need more break, you do let me know, because whenever you stop understanding, you should let me know. Eddie, are you there? Eddie is not there.
Here, sir, here.
Okay, good. Right. So the next topic we are going to be discussing is PMO. I know you all must have heard about it. What is your opinion? What is a PMO? Mazen?
PMO, the people who manage the project.
Manage the project. What does the project manager do then?
Coaching the team, provide training for them.
That is
So
that is
also,
only in Agile. That is only for Agile project manager. PMO is Project Management Office, and that has nothing to do with management of a project. Any other views? Gonzalez? What should be this PMO thing?
It may be a bigger organization who is responsible for that project management.
Okay. Bigger organization. So this is not a project. PMO is not within a project. It is not the responsibility of the project manager to run a PMO. PMO might be a bigger organization. Maybe you are running maybe 28 projects in your organization, and somebody in your organization wants to keep a tab on all the projects. Maybe the chief executive officer wants to see what is happening in all the projects. So he could establish a project management office which could update him on the total status of all the projects. Right? That means the PMO could be a higher office. It could not be just for one project. It could be a higher office, which all the projects could be reporting to their progress and everything. And that's how the PMO functions. Eddie, are you fine with the idea?
I think it's an external consultancy group.
It could be, but generally it is highly recommended that PMO should be internal to the organization. Consultancy is no bad thing, but at the same time, the consultants come from another group, another party, another team. So therefore, they have no loyalty with your own organization. Although they could be there for consultation purposes, they can help you do things, but it is not advisable that PMO should be outside of the organization. PMO should generally be within the organization, owned by the people from the organization, but I don't stop you from getting the help of consultants or subject matter experts for establishing this PMO.
Understood, sir. Understood.
Mazin, what do you say about this? Am I right?
Yeah.
Now, Gonzalez, please try to recapitulate what I just said. What is a PMO?
Is a large organization, preferably within the organization.
Right.
Who,
And that is exclusively responsible for all the project management happening within the organization, right? Okay. If that be the case, then the next question is where the PMO should exist. Would there be a central PMO in one big organization, or could there be more than one PMOs in one organization? Who will like to answer that?
To simplify things, sir, I think there should only be one PMO.
Okay. If you want to have, right? If you want to have a centralized control, right? So you may have one PMO. Okay. But the interesting part is it just depends upon at what level you want to manage a control. Maybe that is a very large organization you are dealing with, and they have got 10 different departments. Every department is running their own projects. Every department has got more than 20 or 30 projects going on. And every departmental head needs to have their own PMO. So this could be a decentralized mechanism where you have delegated the projects to the PMOs to the departmental heads. So rather than the main PMO reporting to the CEO of the organization, these PMOs may be reporting to the departmental heads, respective departmental heads. But in that case, all the projects are not being, reported at the same place. They are reported in their departments. And the departments may be reporting them to the CEO, or maybe there is a kind of a higher level PMO, which these departmental PMOs may be reporting to. Now, this is not really important that there is, this is just one model of centralized reporting, and there could be a decentralized reporting. So PMOs, the number of PMOs in an organization is not necessarily to be a single one. It could be more than one. It could be according to any distribution. It could be departmental distribution. It could be maybe from the type of projects. Maybe the construction projects may be reporting to a different construction PMO, and the mechanical projects may be reporting to the mechanical PMO, and things like that. You could classify them by any mechanism, by department, by specialization, or whatever. And moreover, to emphasize that point, I would also say that there is a high likelihood that if there is a highly complex project, what do you call it, a mega project, which is very difficult to manage by the project manager himself. It is such a large project that PMO needs to have controls within his own project so he can set up a PMO within that large project, because this mega project has got 20 different sub-projects running under it. And it might be difficult for the project manager to control the whole thing all by himself. So maybe he could set up a small project management office within a mega project, right? So generally within a project, they like to call it not a PMO, but a PSO, Project Support Office. Project Support Office, or I don't mind if you call it a PMO as well, but that PMO is going to be specific for this mega project. Good enough? And do you have exposure about programs? What is a program? Mazin? What is a program?
Program is group of related projects.
Very good. Very good. Now, can you differentiate between a mega project and a program? What is the difference?
So mega project will be the one project and one aim, but program will be different, but maybe for the same. For example, metro. So construction is a project, one
Right.
project, and metro itself, which is a material and mechanical project, is another project, but both of them are related.
They are related.
So this is a program.
They can be grouped into a program. They are not programmed right now, but they may be grouped together in a program, right?
Yeah.
Yes, of course. But anyways, we'll move on and we'll discuss program later. But I just wanted to show you that a program could have their own PMO. A program, because it is already a large thing, it may have 10, 20 projects within the program. So managing within the program, they can have a program level PMO. A PMO within the program, which we may like to call it a program management office, right? Anyways, coming back to PMOs, PMO could be, there are various ways by which we can classify the PMOs, but the way PMI has classified them is supportive, controlling, and directive. 3 types of PMO. Although I have already given you another classification, that is centralized and decentralized PMOs, I have already told you there could be PMO within a program, within a mega project. PMO could be departmental, PMO could be organizational, PMO could be even at the level of portfolios or enterprise. They could be different concepts, right? They could be PMO at any level. We don't mind that. But as far as the PMI is concerned, PMI says, classifying them in this way, that PMO is a helping office, or in a way I could call it a clerical office. It is just collecting data, consolidating it, and submitting it to the boss, right? It is kind of a support office, right? So supportive function of a PMO could be to define all the best practices, methodologies, standards, and templates for all the project managers, as if they can all, work on the same format. They follow the same rules. So the rules for the project management for all the projects within the organization could be set up by a supportive PMO. And moreover, this supportive PMO can serve as a servant leader. They could assist them, they could guide them, they could train them. But what they are doing is, they are not interfering with them. All the decision making is with the project managers themselves. But is a helping hand this PMO might be extending. This is called a supportive PMO, right? So this is providing them all the support, like templates, standards, and this and that. But it can't impose impose them. It can help them, but can't impose them, can't order them. That is a supportive PMO. A controlling PMO has a little bit more power than a supportive PMO. They not only make the standards and policies and all, but they have the power to enforce compliance with those standards and policies they have made. Means the management have given more authority to the PMO that now they can enforce or impose the implementation of those rules they have made, those policies they have created for the whole organization. So they can do the project audit, they can go and check the project whether they are following the guidelines or not, and that is a controlling PMO. I hope you understand what I mean to say here. Controlling PMO has got a little bit more power than a supportive PMO, and they can enforce the guidelines they have created. Third category is a directive PMO. This is a all-powerful PMO, the big boss type PMO. This PMO has all the authority. They can run the project. They can change anything in the project, any of the projects. So they are in control completely. So they make the rules. They make them follow the rules. And they can even interfere in the internal working of the project. They can fire the project manager. They can hire a project manager. Like, they behave like a sponsor to every project, the big boss for all the projects. But this role is very, very dangerous role, because PMO may take over all the projects, which is not really a very good strategy. Anyways, this is for the predictive project. We have got these categories. As far as Agile is concerned, the concept of PMO is quite different. Like I would say, it is more like a supportive PMO always. There could not be a controlling or directive kind of a thing. And we just call these kind of PMOs like Agile Centers of Excellence in Agile. In Agile, we have either we call them Agile Center of Excellence or a Value Delivery Office, and they behave pretty much like a supportive PMO, right? Now, Agile Center of Excellence enable rather than manage the project effort. So they don't control, they don't direct, they just, help. They just manage. And what do? They coach the team, they build the agile mindset, like, kind of providing workshops, trainings, and all that. They mentor the sponsors and owners and things like that. So they are the helping hand. They don't have any kind of control, right? So in Agile, that is mandatory. So the controlling and directive type is not possible. Not possible in an Agile environment. The only possibility is a supportive kind of a thing, which we don't call supportive here. We call it either an Agile Center of Excellence or a Value Delivery Office. I hope that makes sense.
Sir, I have a question.
Sure. Most welcome.
What is the difference between project audit and PMO?
Okay. As far as audits are concerned, there are two concepts in a project, in any project. There are audits and there are inspections, right? Audits are about the processes of the project. Anyone who is looking after the project could look at how well the processes of the project are going, and all actions they take to enforce that is called an audit. If I'm checking your way of working, your processes, how are you doing it, I'm auditing you. But if I'm checking the product you are creating, I'm measuring it, I'm kind of checking the quality of it and things like that, I am inspecting. So project audits is about the processes and project inspections are about the product. Have I answered your question?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Any questions so far?
And
Okay.
also, I have just one comment. The difference between the supportive, controlling, and directive. The difference will be only the degree of control.
Yep. Exactly. Directive have full control. Controlling has got only control for enforcement, and supportive has no control. They just make the rules. They just facilitate. Right? Got it. Good. Okay. Once we have talked about the PMO, let us also talk about another related concept, but a very fascinating concept, and that is called OPM. Now, but this is nothing to do with a PMO. This is a different concept. This is called organizational project management. Do you remember we did talk about the project management maturity? When we were talking about the project success, we mentioned project management maturity. How mature your organization is in running the projects, how skillful your organization is, how experienced your organization is. That was called the project management maturity of your organization. So that is an organizational level thing. Here, what we are talking about is organization project management, meaning project management at the organizational level. So, this is not the concept just of managing a project, but the whole concept of change, how the organization deals with bringing various changes within the organization at the organizational level, running different projects, running different programs, running different portfolios, all change related initiatives collectively being conducted at the organizational perspective is called organizational project management. So when we say OPM, we are not only talking about project management, we are actually talking about the project management, program management, and the portfolio management, and even to some extent the operations management. Meaning the whole concept of change in the organization is being addressed by this one thing, one organizational project management. This is not just about the project. This is about the change, organizational change. How do you bring change in the organization? And this enables organizations to deliver on strategy. That if you deliver on strategy, the big benefit or big value to the organization will be generated. So basically, we are changing the organization for the better as if they can create more value. So this is therefore called a system of value delivery. So we are thinking much bigger than a project. We are thinking at the organizational level. So OPM is a system of value delivery. Do you get the sense of it? Now let us look at the complete environmental structure. The organization exists within a larger external environment. Agreed? Wherever your organization is, maybe you are in Manila, your organization maybe in America, maybe in New Zealand, wherever your organization is, the local laws, the local weather conditions, the external factors have some impact on that. Maybe the tax laws are different in different countries. Maybe the weather conditions are different in different countries. So those are the external environments impacting your organization as a whole. And naturally, if it is impacting your organization, it could be impacting the management of projects, programs, and portfolios, and the whole change-related initiatives, OPM. So external environment is a static, which is everywhere. You could have your own external environment that would be impacting whatever is happening within the organization. But within the organization, there could be certain laws, rules, and regulations you follow. They are not imposed onto you by the external environment, but these laws and regulations or policies or procedures are established by the organization themselves, and naturally they will also be applicable to everything which is being done within the organization, whether it is operation, it is project, it is program, or it is a portfolio. So in a way, I can say that all the operations, project programs, and portfolios of an organization are definitely impacted by the internal environment, and the whole organization is also being impacted by the external environment. Agreed so far? If we can separate operations, because like Gonzalez said, that she is in operations, not in projects. So the manufacturing part, a production part, or a repetitive work part, that could be treated as an operation. Although operations are very important, I don't want to, overshadow the operations with the project. Project is not as good or as important as the operation. Why I'm saying that is because operations is the lifeblood of an organization. If your organization doesn't operate, it will die. It cannot exist. Right? If you don't run your organization's operations, your organization will no more exist. So there is no fun in having projects or things like that when your operations are not running. So your lifeblood is your operations, so they are extremely very important, and your operations are impacted by the external and internal environment, definitely. But at the same time, all the change-related initiatives, which I am calling here as system of value delivery, is also impacted by internal and external environment, but they are change-related initiatives. They are projects, they are programs, and they are portfolios. They are not part of the operation. They are separate box. So far, so good. Now, what is the hierarchy amongst these three things, portfolios, programs, and projects? Naturally, just remember, projects is the smallest part out of these things. Projects is actually where the change happens. Every change happens through a project. If you are bringing any kind of change in the organization, maybe in the regulations, maybe in the machines, maybe in the tools, maybe in the system, whatever change is being suggested and being implemented will always be through a project. But if there are related projects, they could be grouped into a program. Like there are 20 different projects which are actually contributing towards a same broader objective or big benefit. So they can be grouped into a a program, and the program manager could look after them together. And there could be independent projects which have got their own objective. They cannot be grouped under any program. So they would be running by a specific project manager reporting to a project sponsor. Every program will also have a sponsor. Like, Eddie, as I said, your supervisor is your sponsor, right? So your boss is your sponsor. So there is a boss for every project and there is a boss for every program. But if the project is under a program, if there are a number of projects under a program, their sponsor would be the program manager. If the project is not under any program, they will have their own project sponsor. So far, so good. Okay, that is as far as the programs are. So a project can exist in isolation. A project could be under a program. Like, let's look at the right extreme. These are some of the projects. Can you see the arrow?
Yes, sir. Yes.
These projects are under nobody. They are not under a program. They are not under a portfolio. They may have their own sponsors separately. So these are independent projects. Then we have got program B1, which has got certain number of projects under it. That means all the projects within the program B1 are under the program manager. So the sponsor of all these projects is called the program manager. Program manager is looking after a larger benefit. Remember, a program does not bother about the deliverable. Program has nothing to do with the deliverable. Program is more concerned about the larger benefits. Like, we did talk about the outcomes. These were the short-term benefits which were associated with every output or the whole output of the project. But all these outputs, outcomes, if translated into a long-term scenario, that could be the ultimate benefit which this program is supposed to yield. So all the outcomes of various projects would ultimately yield a larger benefit, which could be the program benefit. Or for that matter, I can still say that in addition to the concept of deliverable, product, output, and outcome, there is yet a concept of a benefit even within a project. Every project in a long term must deliver certain benefits, right? But as far as the project is concerned, we are more concerned about not about the benefits, but about the product, service, result, and output and outcome. That is what we are more concerned as a project manager. But remember, every project does deliver some benefits. Because those benefits realized maybe 3 years or 4 years after the project has ended, that means that could not be considered the responsibility of the project manager. Maybe the boss of the project manager might look after those benefits to be realized. In case of a program manager is the boss of all the projects under the program, and therefore he takes on the responsibility of the realization of all the benefits coming from each one of the projects, and then unifying all those benefits into a larger program benefit, which was ultimately the scope of the program. So programs do not look at the deliverables, programs look at the larger benefit of the program. And that could be, as I said, summation of all the benefits of all the projects within the program. So that is a big game. Program could have, a larger benefit to achieve. For example, let me give you a simple example. For example, your government has decided to raise the education level of a specific region or a province or a county from level X to level Y. So they want that in the next 10 years, the literacy level of the people in that specific region should be raised from level X to level Y. So this could be the benefit of the program. And then under that program, we could give birth to a lot many projects like, construction of universities, construction of, schools and primary schools and a lot many other initiatives. And all of them will ultimately be contributing to the larger objective of the program. The benefits of the program will only be yielded when all the benefits of each one of the projects have been realized. And who is responsible to realize all those benefits of the projects and ultimately the program? That is the program manager. So program manager deals with the benefits. Project managers deal with the deliverable, product, output, or outcome. Outcome is also a kind of benefit, but it is a very short-term, small benefit. Ultimate benefit which the program manager is dealing is the long-term benefit which comes long after a project has finished. Do you get the idea? Yes, Mazin, are you okay with the idea?
Yeah.
Okay, if you are all comfortable with the idea of a program dealing with benefits while a project deals with a product, let me introduce you to the concept of a portfolio. Before I explain what is a portfolio, can someone tell me what do you think about a portfolio? Gonzalez, what should be a portfolio?
Compilation of too many programs.
Yeah, you're right, very right. But the important thing is, as Mazin said, in a program, that they have to be related projects. Like, raising the literacy level, all the projects which are contributing to the raising of the literacy level could only be included in a program. But as far as the portfolio is concerned, this is a larger concept, but this does not include the relation. This just includes a grouping. Like you see, all the construction projects, maybe they are not working for the same benefit. All the construction projects could be a construction portfolio. All the IT projects could be under the IT portfolio. So they may be related or unrelated, we don't mind. Portfolio is a bigger distribution in which we have got a specific classification. So there could be portfolios, number of portfolios within the organization, but generally speaking, all the projects and programs running in an organization is generally considered to be the portfolio of that organization. If you don't have a defined portfolios for construction and IT and all, then I would say you have one portfolio in your organization anyways. And that could be all the projects and programs running in your organization are your portfolio. Whether you are managing it as a portfolio or not, but it is your portfolio, and it is best served if you have a portfolio manager sitting on top who's looking after all the projects and programs. But if you don't have that, we don't mind. Still, it is a portfolio without a portfolio manager. But in a very well organized organization, you may see that there are a number of portfolios. The construction specialist is looking after the construction portfolio, the IT specialist is looking after the IT portfolio, oil and gas specialist is looking after the oil and gas portfolio, and so on and so forth. So, a portfolio, what can it include? It could include projects and programs. Now, if it is including a program, like in the case of a portfolio B here, you can see there are certain projects under the portfolio which are directly reporting to the portfolio. They are not part of any program, but they are part of this portfolio. Maybe they are all construction projects, and this is a construction portfolio. So independent construction projects are part of the construction portfolio. Whereas there is a big program of construction going on with related projects under it, they are also connected to the same portfolio. And there could be another possibility that a portfolio could have only the programs at top, and every program could have their own project. So this is also allowed. This is also possible. So whatever combination you want to make, but this whole system of connection of portfolios, programs, and projects in this manner is called the system of value delivery, or we can call it organizational project management, in short, OPM. OPM is management of project programs and portfolios. We also call it a system of value delivery. Operations is generally not included in it, but some small little operations are inclusive in portfolios. So therefore, you can consider some of the operations as part of portfolios. But anyways, the organizational operations are separate and they are part of the main organization. I said, while we are studying the projects and the concepts about project management, we don't give much importance to the operation. I just emphasize to you that operations are more important even than the projects. They are the lifeblood. If they don't run, your organization doesn't survive. But if you don't run projects, programs, or portfolio, what will happen to your organization? Will the organization die immediately? Yes, Gonzalez. What do you think?
No, because there is still some other functions within that organization.
Because organization is running, whether it is running efficiently or not, that could be another issue. But you see, it will keep running for some time. But if operations are closed down, the organization will die instantly. Instant death to the organization. Now, why do we need to have the system of value delivery? Because we want to keep improving our organization. The continuous improvement thing should go on. We should keep bringing new changes, new ideas to the organization as if our operations can be enhanced and we can live forever. So actually, the organizational project management has its own value. Organization doesn't die if you don't do projects, but it does live longer if you do that. But if you stop operations, you will die instantly. I hope you understand my point of view. Yes, Mazen?
Yes, I got it.
Eddie, are you with me on that?
Yes, sir. Within the organization.
Exactly. So I suppose you have a fairly good idea about organizational project management, OPM, PMO, all of these concepts are very well engraved. So we can proceed ahead. Now let us differentiate between the definitions of the project, program, and portfolio. Well, these are not really the definitions. Yeah. Project management, we have already defined, we said knowledge, skill, tools, and technique and all that. But what is project management? This may be a part of a broader program or portfolio or both, or maybe independent. Project could be run either independent, it could be under a program, it could be under a portfolio, whatever. So project management can be done anywhere. And what does it do? It enables achievement of organization goals and objectives. Naturally, whatever we are doing in a project is ultimately going to add value to the organization. We can't do anything which is not really beneficial for the organization, which is not creating any value for the organization. That is the point we want to make in business acumen, that whatever we do in an organization should actually benefit the organization in a long run, right? So it enables achievement of organization goals and objectives. Now, what is program? Program management. Naturally, we understand this is a group of related projects. It could also have sub-projects or subsidiary programs, not sub-project, subsidiary programs and program activities. So you have to pay a little attention. When we talk about programs, there are three types of components in a program. A program could have projects under it. It could have sub-programs under it, or it could have a third entity or third type of component, which is called program activities. Now, what does these program activities do? We understand what does the projects within the program do. They have their own job. What is a sub-program? Now, let's first answer. What is a sub-program? Eddie, what do you think? What should be a sub-program?
A sub-program should be like a smaller, it should be something related to the bigger program, but make it bite-sized chunks like that.
Exactly. Actually, a sub-program is not a mandatory distribution, but if a program is complex enough and it cannot be resolved easily, we may divide it into sub-programs, right? So, therefore, a program could have projects under it, it could have sub-programs under it, or it could have program activities. Now, the third component is the program activity. And what is the purpose of these program activities? These are the functions of the program. You see, every project manager is doing their work and they are achieving something. They have their own team. They are producing the product, right? So they are doing their job. But once they have done their job, and that job has to be converted into, when the project is completed, the program manager is supposed to convert the deliverable of the project into their specific project benefits, unify those benefits into the program benefit. Who will do all that job? There has to be a team within the program which will actually take over the results of the project and process them into ultimate benefits of the project, and ultimately consolidation of those benefits into the overall program benefits. We need a team. There will be a lot of work these people have to do. So just don't think that projects within the program do all the work. A lot more work has to be done by these program activities. So program activity is considered as a component. In a way, if you want to say, you can say that program activities are actually the operation within the program. The operational work of the program is program activities, right? And projects are separate. Projects are doing their own job. And then once they have done their job, that job is handed over to the program, that product is handed over to the program activity, and they are then responsible for converting that into benefits, consolidating those benefits. So if somebody asks you what are the components of the program, you say there are three components of a program, three possible components of a program. One could be the related projects within the program. Second could be the sub-programs, and third could be the program activities. And they are managed, all three of them, in a coordinated manner to obtain benefits not available from managing them individually. If we were not in the shape of a program, they were independent projects, they could never have resulted in these unified, synergized benefits. The consolidation could not have happened. The projects may have yielded their benefits, but the consolidated benefit which the program is able to produce could never have been achieved, right? So this controls the components and the interdependencies to realize the benefits. The realization of benefit, whether it is the project benefit or the overall program benefit, the subject of realization of benefits is a program level subject. Project manager is not responsible for realization of ultimate benefit of even a project. They may be responsible for product, deliverable, output, and outcome. Outcome, remember, outcome is a short-term benefit. Yes, of course, project manager is responsible for short-term benefits, but not the long-term benefits. Long-term benefit realization is the job of the program manager, or if there is no program manager on top, then the project sponsor will be responsible for that. Agreed? As far as portfolios are concerned, you understand they are not related. There could be projects, programs, or sub-portfolios or some of the operations. So these are the four components. In portfolio, what are the four components? There could be projects under a portfolio. There could be programs under a portfolio. There could be sub-portfolios under a portfolio. A portfolio may have further subdivisions, right? May or may not have. So third component is a sub-portfolio, and then just like program activities, there is some work of the portfolio. They have got to do a lot of analysis. They have to do the feasibilities, which projects or programs are to be added and which are not to be added to the portfolio, which are to be started, which have to be stopped, killed, or whatever. So all these decisions are be done by a specific team of the portfolio, which is actually, because portfolio is not a project itself, it is not considered as project activities, so we call them operational activities. These are the operations of the portfolio where these decisions are being made. So there are four components to the portfolio: projects, programs, sub-portfolios, and the operation. And when we manage them in a group, we achieve certain long-term strategic objectives of the organization. Portfolio is directly associated with the value it delivers to the organization. And if something is not being aligned with the strategic objectives of the organization, portfolio manager is at liberty to kill that project or program which is not being beneficial to the organization. So this is a big decision maker, directly reporting to the organizational strategy. So basically, its job is to align with the business strategy. If business strategy changes, the whole portfolio may shuffle. And ultimately, many projects may be killed, many projects may be stopped, many projects may be, frozen and things like that, and new things can happen. So this is all the job of the portfolio manager. Are you comfortable with the idea of the project, program, and portfolio now?
Yes, sir. Yes.
If you have any questions, you can still ask. Okay, if no questions, moving on. Okay, let's discuss a little bit about a very basic feature, and that is called organizational structures. Generally, from looking at it from the operational perspective, every organization does have an organization structure, or what do you call it, a hierarchical chart, a hierarchical responsibility within the organization, how the organization is structured. So the generic mechanism by which an organization could, kind of report and organize themselves in a structure, reporting upward or, ordering downwards, this whole thing is called the organizational structure. And that is the basic channel through which the governance of the organization affects the whole organization. The rules and regulations which are being made by the high level, strategic people, those are governed from top, and they are being channeled downwards into the hierarchy of the organization. Normally, an organization is organized in a operational hierarchy because, as I said, operations are the lifeblood of an organization. So that is very important to the organization. Projects may or may not be happening. So basically, organization structures are generally functional in nature from the operational point of view. Like an organization may be divided into departments into sub-department, and things like that down to the team level. This is the operational or functional organizational structure, traditional organizational structure. Now, in such an organization which is functional in nature, what do you think? Will it be comfortable to run a project, or would it be difficult to run a project? And why? Just think over it, give it a thought, and then tell me, okay, why don't we do this? I will let you have a discussion amongst yourself on this topic and come to a conclusion and tell me how a project can be run in a traditional organizational structure. So you can start discussing among yourself. Mazen, Eddie, and Gonzalez. Yes, please start talking. Eddie, you can start the discussion.
I think the main driving force for the project is financial incentives,
Mm-hmm.
as well as it says here, how much authority does the project manager have? I
Okay.
think the authority that the PM has depends on the head of the program or like the department head for,
Mm-hmm.
and that depends on how much power that how much authority the department head is willing to give the project manager.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, if it depends if the organization is under like an like authoritarian concept, then feedback for each project or each step of the project may not be entertained.
Okay. Gonzalez, any ideas from your side?
For me, the organizational structure is that there is someone who will be leading, and then uh, uh, which will be subdivided into other person overseeing different aspect of that project.
No, not really the project. We are talking about the organization. Project is just, a secondary question. An organization structure is how an organization is structured. Who is reporting to whom, right? Now, in this structure, where every department is looking after its own portion, their own teams and all that, if you want to run a project, my question is, how easy or difficult would it be to run a project within such a structure? Yes, Mazen?
I think the rules to distribute the roles and tasks for the team members and control how much control that project manager have and every member who's reported to whom.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So then if some issue happen, it will be easy to solve it. And who
Mm-hmm.
will be who will be the responsible to solve the issues?
Right.
I think that's it.
You're all right. Exactly, not exactly, but you have given your points of view. Basically, uh, the point which I wanted to make was that an organization is operationally structured. It's very good for running the operation. There is an account department looking after the account. There is a finance department looking after the finances, but production, operations, and this and that, all those departments are dedicatedly looking after their responsibilities and thus are able to run the operations of the organization very effectively, uh, which is the lifeblood of the organization. I said operations are very important. But within the same organization, we want to bring changes. We want to continuously improve. We want to further enhance our operations. For that, we want to make changes on and off, and those changes could only be brought through projects, programs, and portfolio. Now, if I try to do a project in such an operational organization, for example, I am trying to establish a new SOP, and that SOP is going to impact all the departments. And I need in my project experts from maybe all the departments, right? But they are not all under me, they are under their own departmental heads. What authority, as a project manager, do I have over them? In a functional or operational organization, the project manager, the project may be created, a project manager may be defined, may be assigned, but this will become a really a very difficult job for the project manager to get the job done. From where he will get the staff from various departments? Are the various departments willing to give him the staff? Probably not, because they are busy, right? And will he be able to create a schedule and do his job? If he doesn't get the workforce, if it doesn't get the funding, if it doesn't get everything, probably he can't do nothing about it. So for a project manager, it can be a uphill task, and a functional structure might be a great hindrance in managing a project. So a functional organization structure, which is a deep hierarchical structure, might not be suitable for running projects. I don't say that you can't run a project in a functional structure, but I'm saying it is really very difficult, and the chances of success are very, very less. Why? Because all the authority is with the functional managers, with the operations people. They are doing their job and they don't want to spare resources, people, and staff for that. And therefore, project manager may have a very uphill task, and the chances of success are very, very low. So what is the desire of the project manager? If you ask the project manager, if the CEO asks him why he is unable to complete his project, and he comes up with all these problems, sir, I'm not given resources, functional managers are not supporting me, and things like that. So CEO says, okay, tell me, what do you want? So what is your desire as a project manager? What kind of structure do you want? Yes, please.
Something with a feedback, and the department head should listen to what the project manager has to say. So it is, I think, open discussions between the higher channel, the higher org, and the lower org.
But you see, the functional managers, the department managers, they are the bosses. Why should they listen to a petty project manager? That is a big question. Why should they listen to him? Because project manager doesn't have any powers. So project manager should first be asking for the power. He should ask for the equivalence to the other departments. Maybe more than equivalence. Maybe he wants more power than any departmental head. That means he got more power. He can get people from anywhere. So he would require more power. He would require dedicated workforce. He would require dedicated funding and resources, and the complete decision power for the project. No hindrances. Isn't it what you desire as a project manager?
Ideally, sir, in an ideal scenario, yes.
Ideal scenario. This ideal scenario is called a project-oriented organizational structure. It is kind of a desire. It's kind of a heaven for a project manager. So project manager is not concerned about any functions or operations. He says, for running my project, I should have this. This power, these resources, all of this. So this kind of structure is a project-oriented structure. But as I said, if you do it like that, then the functions or the operations of the organization are greatly impacted, and operations are basically the lifeblood. So the organization may suffocate. It is not only there only for the for running of the project. It is there for the operations of and creation of value through that as well. Although this could be the ideal solution, but there is a very grim chance that a project manager can be given that kind of authority, right? So we have to find a middle way. The middle way is called a matrix structure. It is just like a hybrid thing, like we said, between the predictive and adaptive, we have a hybrid. So between the functional and a project-oriented organization, In a functional, all the power is exercised by the functional manager. In the project-oriented, all the powers are enjoyed by the project manager. In a matrix, we want to create a kind of a shared environment in which we can somehow have some powers to the functional manager, some powers to the project managers, and ultimately get the best of both the worlds. This is called a matrix structure. And classically, matrix structure means we don't give a dedicated workforce to the functional managers and a dedicated workforce to the project manager. The people remain under the functional managers, but we create an understanding how these people would be working under the functional manager as well as the project manager simultaneously. We establish an equation for that, right? This could be a matrix structure. And this matrix structure can also further be subdivided into three kinds. A strong matrix structure, a balanced matrix structure, and a weak matrix structure. Speaking from the project management point of view, a strong matrix structure would be such in which project manager enjoys more power than the functional manager. It is not classically a project-oriented structure. A strong matrix structure is more realistic, but project manager is given a little more value than the functional manager and little more priority than the functional manager, although the functional manager keeps doing their job, the operations keep running, but the priority is given to the project manager for their jobs. That is called a strong matrix structure. In a weak matrix structure, functional manager is given more power than the project manager. That means it is more like a functional structure, but still project manager has got some authority, some power, but that is subordinated to the functional manager. So that means projects will still suffer, but not as much as in the functional structure. But still, some things can be done. Project could be successful in this environment. And then we have got the third structure, which is a balanced matrix structure. And in a balanced matrix structure, project manager and the functional manager are at the equal footing and understanding, and they have kind of a equation established how the people will be shared, how much time they will work for the project manager, how much time they will work for the functional manager. That means they are reporting to two bosses. So in all the matrix structures, the people who are working, they are reporting to the functional manager as well as to the project manager. And they have, we have to look at if the power is more towards the project manager, it is a more strong structure. If its power is more towards the functional manager, it is a weak structure. And if it is balanced, it is equally shared by the project and functional manager. It is called a balanced matrix structure. Right? So far, so good. And now there is yet another kind which is called a composite structure. Composite structure in itself is not a structure. It is a combination of all the structures we have already studied. Why? Because in a classic sense, an organization cannot just be a functional organization. Every organization is a complicated organization. They have got some elements of project management going on in one department, some elements of, pure functionality, some elements of different kinds of matrices. So in a complex organization, you would see elements of all different organizational structures within the same organization. And like, maybe there is a projects department which is completely project oriented, whereas there is other department, the finance department or other department, they are completely functional, and maybe there are certain other departments which are partially, there are some kind of strong metrics there and things like that. So an organization with a flavor of various organizational structures within the same big structure, same complex structure, is called a composite organization structure. And that combination is not defined. This could be different from one organization to the other. It is not a method. So, is it okay with you? I think you are losing me. Should I move ahead?
Please, sir.
Okay. Now, a little discussion on the relative authority in organizational structures. In a functional organization, because functional organization, the whole power is with the functional manager, therefore, the people, the team members who may be allocated for the project, their loyalty is still with the functional department because he controls them, he pays them, and this is the person they report to. Project manager is a temporary entity, temporary boss, so they may not really be, loyal to the project manager. So the team member's loyalty in a functional structure is with the functional manager. And if it is a project-oriented structure, they could be dedicatedly available to the project manager. So therefore, this could be, their loyalty could be with the project. In a matrix structure, whether it is a balanced matrix, strong matrix, or weak matrix, they could have a conflicted loyalty, maybe, 50-50 or 80-20 or something like that. Team members report to the functional manager in a functional setup, to a project manager in a project setup, and in a matrix structure, they could be reporting to both. As far as the project manager is concerned, the role of project manager is very vague in a functional organization. This could be like not really a project manager, it could be just a coordinator or something like that. In a matrix structure also, this could be like in a strong matrix, we could have a full-fledged project manager, or in a weak or balanced matrix, it could be something like a coordinator. But in a project-oriented organization, project manager is a full-time entity and full-time responsible. Team member roles in a functional and matrix structure could be part-time. Team members could come and go. Whereas in a project-oriented structure, team members are full-time allocated to the project. They cannot leave the project until the project is completed. So they are under the direct responsibility of the project manager. Control of the project manager over team members. In a functional structure, he has no control at all. In a matrix structure, project manager has got some control. And in a project-oriented structure, he has got total control. Right? I hope this slide pretty much describes many concepts from the various organizational structures. Okay? Now, with the understanding you have gained so far, I leave you to an interactive exercise to think of your current organization or a recent project you have done. Can you identify the organization structure type and describe how it affects your project in the following ways? So each one of you will be given an opportunity to speak, and these are the topics you have to address in your answer. How organizational groups and individuals interrelate in whatever scenario you are. Think of the scenario, whatever the project or the operational work you are doing, think of the scenario and answer these questions. How organization groups and individuals interrelate with each other. What is the authority of the project manager in your case? What is the availability of the resources in your case? How the project is being conducted? Just think over it and then start answering. Raise hand whenever you are ready. Yes, please.
I think the organization structure in my campus is project oriented, and the different organizational groups, which is people from, for example, if my research involved AI, artificial intelligence, I need to like coordinate with the computer science students so that I can use their high-powered computers. And for resource availability, for my department, electrical electronic department, is quite low because we do not own that high-powered PC. It belongs to the other department. So we will have to contact another project manager in order to use their resource.
Okay.
And obviously, if you do that, you will have to cite or reference them in papers.
Mhm.
And so it's a project manager letting you use their resource, but also taking credit just because they have the resource.
Mhm.
And the project ultimately is conducted in such a way that um, your the program managers get total credit in the end.
Okay, good. So, right, you're right. If you are not getting the relevant resources, do you not ever go to your sponsor and tell him that I'm unable to get the resources? Can you help me out on that?
We do, but that takes time to apply for a budget, and that also takes time to wait for a response, whether your proposed budget or proposed acquisition is approved or denied. So
And
this is the best.
probably this is not a purely project-oriented organization structure. In the type of structure you are working in, I would best like to call it a strong matrix or maybe a balanced matrix. In a project-oriented structure, you would have all the power. You would have no difficulty for the resources. Everything would be on your fingertips.
Understood, sir.
Yes, Mazin, what is your answer?
So I will go to the digital transformation. So my project will be to upgrade the single line diagram in our organization.
Okay.
The organization structure will be matrix, a strong matrix, because I will ask for a member from the each zone. I will take for example 2 or 1 person. So from the electrical department, design and planning department. So that's why I should ask the functional manager
Okay.
to their job will be part-time during the project, and the authority for the project management will be balanced, not strong, balanced.
Good.
That's it.
Very good. Very good. Now, Gonzalez, your answer?
I'm just writing on the hierarchy of what I have known. Okay. So in my case, since I am on design project, so we have this manager. We call it project manager, and he is the one dealing with the client. What will
Okay.
be the requirement of the client? And then under that project manager, we have this design manager who will disseminate the information towards the after the design manager. We have planning department, and then the designers utility design department. So under planning, we have these engineers for the planning and development, and the other one, which is the utilities design team. There is composition of different engineers. Wherein these engineers we have categorized by each utility like electrical, water, sewerage, like that. I'm very detailed on the and
Right.
then after that, yeah, so there is separate department for the design, and then this design there is some sub function which is what we call the team lead, principal engineer, and then under that principal engineer, he has the senior engineer, and then down the line will be the utilities engineer, which is the designer
Mhm.
who will be do the functions of the designing, more on designing, dirty works.
Mm.
This does it answer that
I suppose
question?
the structure in your organization would be something like a strong matrix, because this is
Mhm,
basically a project management kind of organization. But
mhm.
I am still confused about one thing, and that is you are still unable to associate yourself as a project manager. You are always referring as, you are kind of a support person. You are not, I want to convince you that whatever you are doing is actually project management. Why? You see, you are dealing with a design. How much is a team you are dealing with? Some people are under you, working under you.
I don't have. I'm just dealing with my drafting
Okay.
people. Mm-mm,
Drafting people. Yes, that is your team. That is your team,
mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm,
Now, consider that that is your team and you are their design project manager, right?
mm.
Every day you get a new assignment. Don't you consider that as a project? Because every day you get a
Ah,
different assignment, right?
mm-hmm.
Every day you get
Yes.
a different assignment, and then
Mm-hmm,
you organize your team to do that. So start
mm-hmm,
considering that from that angle, because your
mm-hmm.
overall project is a kind of a strong matrix. So you are also a strong matrix, right?
So, what you mean to say is that I'm dealing management on my own to produce an that expected outcome for
Yes.
myself.
Your
Okay.
your product is only design, right?
Mm-mm,
Your
mm-mm,
product is design. You are doing design projects. But
mm-mm,
otherwise, as a whole, this could be a big project. The big project manager could be different, but you are a small little project manager in the big setup,
mm.
right?
Okay, now I get it. Mm-mm.
That is exactly how you should start thinking.
Okay.
Anyways, thank you very much, all of you, for your response, for your ideas. And that is really very good. And I suppose you are getting the joke. Okay. Now, a very interesting thing, which is called the principles of project management. And they have recently been added to this latest edition. Uh, Previous to that, there was no such thing in the earlier editions of PMBOK, which we could call the principles of project management. Although I do remember there was a book published by PMI by the name of Principles of Project Management, but that was not part of the standard, and that was not really talking about these specific points. PMI, when they decided to adopt agile project management, they came across the principles of project management, and that gave them the idea that they should also have principles of project management, right? As they have principles of agile project management, they started developing the principles of project management. Now, interestingly, these 12 principles are highly motivated by those agile principles, but at the same time, they are covering the whole ground from predictive to adaptive as well as hybrid. Everything is covered. So you can see these are very interesting statements, and they are really very enthusiastic and encouraging kind of statements. And as a project manager, you should follow all of these principles. Let me discuss each one of them. Uh, well, number one, it says be a diligent, respectful, and caring steward. as a project manager, you should be diligent. You should be respectful towards whom? Your employees, your team, your customer, everybody, all the stakeholders. You should work hard. Yes, of course, you should be diligent. And you should be a caring steward. You should be a leader who cares for all around him or her. I think this could be applied to predictive. This could be applied to agile. This could be applied to hybrid. Everywhere. Whole of the project management could benefit from this one principle. This is standard principle for everyone. Second, recognize, evaluate, and respond to system interactions. Now remember, whatever you are doing, your project is part of the organization. You are actually doing something for improvement of the existing mechanism of the organization. So the system of the organization is actually like a big clock wheel, big system of clock wheels. You know, one wheel is running the other wheel, and other wheel is running another wheel, and the whole system is running. So you have to understand the system, the whole system, and how does this system interact. Before you can get into the things, you must understand, recognize, evaluate, and then work in sync with the existing system interaction. You can't reinvent the whole. You can reinvent a small part of the system to improve the system, but you can't just create altogether a complete new system, right? Because you as a project manager are going to bring improvement to the existing system. So you must understand how the system works, how it interacts, and where are you really going to do your work? What are you going to impact in the system, right? So recognize, evaluate, and respond to the system interaction. I hope I defined that pretty clearly. And if at all you think something is not really very clear, you can still ask me and I can try to elaborate it even further. So good so far? Third principle is navigate complexity. Now, this is very interesting. Previously, PMBOK used to give a standard mechanism to run the projects, and they were expecting it to follow, all the project managers to follow. Now, the problem was all the projects are not the same. The mechanism given by the PMI was for a standard, simple project. What if the things get complicated in your specific scenario? Then probably there is no way to address that. So they have made it a principle that complexity is native to every project. Your project is going to be unique, and you will have different complications in your project. You must, as a project manager, you must learn to get out of it, to navigate your way out of the complexity, solve the problems, and get back on track, right? Rather than ignoring the complexity, now PMI has explicitly recognized the and made it a principle of project management to navigate the complexity. This is one of the principles of project management now. Fourth principle, create a collaborative project team environment. Probably I have already discussed about the collaboration and communication, and you could understand that without a collaborative project team environment, you couldn't create anything. You couldn't develop your project. You couldn't do anything in your project. You have to be having a highly collaborative environment and high communications going on within the organization. It's not only for the team, but for all the stakeholders, which is coming in the next step. That is effectively engage with stakeholders. Here we are talking about the project team members, collaborating with them, and in the G point, we are talking about engaging with stakeholders. They are both dealing with people skills. And then the fifth point is demonstrate leadership behavior. Again, a people skill. It is also a soft skill. Leadership skills are required for the project manager, and they need to not only be good leaders, but they have to prove, they have to demonstrate leadership behavior. And now that is a big subject. What kind of leadership? What are the types of leadership? Well, all of that discipline is enclosed in that. So you have to demonstrate leadership behavior. Okay, sixth point is optimize risk responses. You will have uncertainties in your project. Whatever the project you are doing, agile, hybrid, or predictive, whatever, you will have uncertainties, and you have to play the right game at the right time. You have to respond to the risks in such an effective manner that you can yield the maximum benefit out of every uncertainty. Rather than being killed by the uncertainty, you should be able to drive the uncertainty out, thus optimizing your risk responses. G, I have already explained. Effectively engaging with stakeholders, that is naturally a very close part of collaboration, but it is about the stakeholders. You must communicate with the stakeholders, engage with them, and maintain the continuous engagement with your stakeholders. Whatever you are doing, whatever kind of project you are doing, you're doing predictive or whatever, stakeholder is nearest and dearest to you. Next point, tailor based on context. That is, choose your own way of working. Look at the project and then decide how you would like to do it. Whether you want to do it on a predictive manner, in an agile manner, or in a hybrid manner, whatever. You are the decision maker. Nobody is going to tell you, this is how you are going to do the project. You and your team will decide according to the context of the project how this should be done. So tailor based on the context, and that would differ from project to project, right? This is your decision, you and your team. Next point, embrace adaptability and resilience. That is very closely associated with the previous point of tailoring based on the context. So once you are tailoring based on the context, you must be highly adaptable and flexible. You should not be a rigid person. Even if you are doing a predictive project, you should have a little bit of flexibility, adaptability, and resilience in you, right? Be open to suggestions, right? So embrace adaptability and resiliency. And then 10th point is focus on value. I have already talked about the value you are ultimately going to be generating for the organization, and the benefits you are going to have, and ultimately you are going to be satisfying the organizational strategy. So that business acumen thing, you must focus on the value, not only on the product. Value is a concept which is even beyond benefit. When the benefit is delivered, benefit is realized, the value is generated, value is created, right? So value is a concept bigger than the benefit, means it is bigger than the program management even. So focus on value, whatever you're doing. Even if you are doing the project, you are supposed to first identify the value it is going to create. Because although you may not be responsible for realizing the benefits and creating the value, but while you are designing a project from the scratch, you must first focus on the feasibility and what value it is going to bring to the organization, how it's going to be aligned with the organization strategy. So focusing on value is constant. Throughout the life of the project, you will do that, although you may not ultimately be held responsible for the creation of the value or the realization of the benefit. But even if you are a project manager or a team member or whatever, everybody, every employee of the organization should focus on value. 11th point, build quality into the processes and deliverables. And when I say processes and deliverables, I'm talking about audits and inspections, quality assurance and quality control. This is not only specific to project management, quality is a subject of operations as well. So, whatever you do in the organization, build quality not only in your processes but in your deliverable. Naturally, if you are having a quality policy which is already existing in your organization, then you will find that it would be much easier for you to run the project because you do have a quality policy to follow already. But if you don't have a quality policy in the organization, you have to create one for your project as if you can manage your processes and deliverables more effectively. Last but not the least is the 12th point, enable change to achieve the envisioned future state. If you want to achieve a higher goal, if you want to touch the stars, you have to kind of do something out of ordinary. No, you can't really jump up and touch the star. You may have to invent something to go up to the star, which has yet not been invented. That is what the project management is. It enables change. It creates new ways of working, new ways of achieving the targets which may be unachievable, which may be thought unachievable. You have to envision the future state. You have to bring that change. Anyways, you can deliberate more on these 12 points, 12 principles, and trust me, every time you read them, you could have further interpretation of these things, further details of these things in your mind. I suppose you get that. If you have anything to discuss here on this slide, I'm open to your discussion. Yes, anyone, please. We have just half an hour left and we have to have some discussion on this. Quickly. Just give me your views. What do you think about these 12 principles and which of the principles you think is the most useful for you? That could be something you can answer me with. Mazin?
Yes, I think all of them is important for the successful in any project. But I think the most important is calibration. Create a calibrative project team environment, and also the respectful. The first one.
Very good. Very good. Eddie, what do you think?
For me, since I'm the one to determine the milestones and I'm the one in charge of development for the project, for me, I am having troubles with point D, create a collaborative project team environment, because we only have a limited number of researchers on campus.
Right. But do you fight with them?
Some of the problem with scientists is that, they tend to show off who is smarter, that they're smarter than you, and whatever you do is, they try to bring you down, but in the end, you have to accept it as a learning experience. And that is the part where you have to be.
That is a collaboration. That is making space for others, respecting them, and getting your job done out of them in a way. So this is collaboration. This is collaboration. You have to work with them, not work against them. Although there may be very few people. But yes, this is really very important. I suppose collaboration is really a very important point in whatever environment you are for the project. Any other point which clicks you?
Collaborative project teams, and One more point is to embrace adaptability and resiliency. So in that point, not everyone has the same education background as you personally, but you have to learn to work with people who are
Right.
often have less education and less
Exactly.
experience with the product. You have to make do with what you have.
Of course. I agree with you. I agree. Very nice. Coming to you, Gonzalez.
Yeah, for me, it's important the collaborative project team environment. Since I
Okay.
do more into coordination with other department, and
Right.
then the diligence and respect.
Of course.
Mhm.
Well,
And also,
yes.
and that
Right. So you see, you are very right. I just asked you what is most important to you, but anyways, I must tell you all of these principles are equally important, right? So you must respect all of these principles. Try to follow this as your kind of a ethical guideline as a project manager. You must keep this right in front of you. That will actually wake you up when you are trying to sleep over your job. So these instructions are really very important for you.
can, can you give us other example of this optimized risk? Uh, I'm sorry,
Yeah, say
optimized risk. Yeah, can you give us other example for these
optimize
optimized risk
risk response.
responses?
Yes, of course. Actually, you see, uh, there could be an uncertainty which could occur in your project. You have identified that uncertainty. If you don't take any action, and that thing happens, that will cause you a big damage.
Mm,
Right?
okay.
Agreed?
Mm-hmm.
So you should take some steps. So the steps the options you have, maybe 5 different options. If you do this, the damage can be reduced by this much. If you do this, the damage can be reduced by this much, and so on and so forth. Which is the best option for you? You have to be very intelligent to choose the best option which gives you the least damage, and it optimizes your risk response, right?
Okay.
So when
Okay.
you do that kind of choice and you use the best of your senses, you probably go for the optimization of risk responses, the best response you could have created. Got it? Okay. From the principles of from these 12 principles, the new PMBOK, 7th edition, actually highlights these 8 performance domains, right? And you could very clearly understand from those principles. We did talk about stakeholders there. We did talk about team collaboration there. We did talk about way of working, development approach, and your life cycle. That could be very important. Selection. How are you going to plan? Naturally, those principles are going to be very instrumental in developing your plan. How are you going to execute your project work? How are you going to deliver your project work? How are you going to do the monitoring and control measurement? All of these things are highly governed by all those 12 principles. So these 8 domains, when you are doing them, you should keep those 12 principles in mind. Just mind it, we have got uncertainty for risk, stakeholders, team, development approaches, there's a way of working, planning, project work itself, which is being executed, delivery, and the measurement, right? These are the 8 performance domains of project management according to the latest edition, right? The previous editions had a different setup. This is now changed. Principles are new. These 8 performance domains are new. And your whole course is designed around this. So good so far?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the agile before we call off this class. Agile actually comes out of a mechanism, a methodology, or a kind of a thought process which was originated in the software industry. Software industry had a very different need because unlike the construction project, they don't have a kind of a very uh, concrete deliverable. Like, if you are constructing a building could be visible. When the construction starts, everything is visible. When a software developer develops something, nothing is visible, right? And there are a lot many doubts in the mind of the customer. Customer is not able to clearly give their requirements. You may not be able to clearly understand those requirements. You can't make them visible to the customer because it is not like a bridge or a building. So while you start delivering the outputs of the project, customer keeps changing the mind and new requirements are added all the time. So in such a highly adaptive environment, it was really difficult in those days. The predictive project management was being done, and it was always a big flaw. Every time the projects could come to a standstill because the requirements have changed, they have to reinitiate the project, and then it never ends, right? So what they were thinking about was kind of creating an environment which was highly adaptive and highly flexible. And for that, they created many methods, right? We'll talk about those methods, but for the time being, you do understand. You may just understand that they created a lot many methods which kept working for a couple of years, and they started yielding results. And ultimately, all of these people who have created these agile methods, they ultimately got together and they decided to write it down as their manifesto, as if everybody who is doing agile in future would be following these principles. So they created a manifesto which has 4 values and they developed 12 principles of agile. If you look at it in the market even now, there are more than 50 known agile practices and methods in use. And interestingly, you will find that because now we have got an agile manifesto and agile principles, all the agile methodologies, no matter how different they are from each other, they all follow the agile manifesto and the 12 principles, all of them. And that is kind of a uniformity in principle about agile. So let us get introduced to these, the 4 values of the agile manifesto and the 12 principles. First of all, these are the 4 values of the Agile Manifesto. So let us see what are these. These are the exact words written in the document of Agile Manifesto, which you could find even on the internet. And there is a website by the name of agilemanifesto.org. Agile Manifesto without any spaces, agilemanifesto.org. This is the exact statement. It says, we are uncovering better ways of developing software, because they were talking about software. But naturally, when we are talking about it, we probably are not only talking about software, we're talking about any kind of project, product, anything. So we are uncovering better ways of developing software by doing it and helping others do it. So they are trying to invent a new way of working by practicing it, doing it, and then trying to propagate it to others as if the others can also be helped by this method. Through this work, we have come to value. Now, they say we have come to value certain things more than others, right? So there are 4 values. Number 1, it says, individuals are interactions over processes and tools. In the predictive method, processes and tools were very important. You must follow the process. You must use this tool to do this thing. Rather than the comfort of the people and their interaction, the collaboration thing, it says that in Agile, we don't give as much importance to the processes and tools as we give to the people and their collaboration. People and their collaboration is more important to us, more valuable to us than processes and tools, because processes and tools can be tailored, recreated, but the people and their collaboration and interaction is irreplaceable. Now that is completely deviant to the predictive method. In predictive method, there is no respect. Classically, there is no respect for individual interaction. All focus is on following the procedure, using the tools which have been suggested to you. Now they have become more adaptive and more flexible by saying that individuals and interactions are more important for us than the processes and tools. At the same time, they are not saying processes and tools are obsolete. They are no more important. They are important, but to the comfort of the individuals and interactions, right? They can be tailored according to the comfort of individuals and interaction. Second rule, second value, working software, or you can say the working product, it should be working. That is more important rather than comprehensive documentation. Comprehensive documentation, the importance cannot be overemphasized, but at the same time, whatever the documentation you are creating, the software or the product should be working. If the main product is not working, what is the fun in having a large help file, a huge documentation in folders? That is a useless documentation if the product is not working. Working product is more important to us than comprehensive documentation. So we can sacrifice a bit on the comprehensiveness of the documentation. We can reduce the documentation to the minimum, but we can focus more energy to developing the working product. That is the second value. Third value is customer collaboration is more important to us over the contract negotiation. Customer, the contract we are having is with the customer, right? So customer is more important to us. Collaborate with the customer. Whatever the customer wants to change or want to improve in the contract, be helpful to them rather than opposing them or fighting with them over the contract. Contract negotiation could be done anytime. It could be renegotiated. It could be re-signed. But the major thing is how respectful are you in your collaboration with the customer. Whatever the customer wants, customer is the boss. If they want something, do that. Change the contract accordingly, no problem at all. So customer collaboration is more important to us than the contract negotiation. Rather than fighting over the contract, we will always respect the customer. Fourth value is responding to the change. That is adaptability. Whenever there is a change, we are ready to change, ready to respond to the change. Over following a plan. In a predictive method, we always follow a plan. We create a plan upfront and then we follow it. Here it says following a plan. We are not saying it is not important, but at the same time, if there is any change, we should be happy to deal with the change first and then amend the plan accordingly. You understand? Following a plan is not as important as responding the change. Responding the change is more important. So it says that is why there is value in the items on the right. The items on the right still are valuable, but it says we value the items on the left more. I hope that clears it up. These are the four values. Are you okay with it? Let me introduce you to the 12 principles of Agile. Now, what are they? Now, actually, all of these principles, these 12 principles, are coming out of the same Agile manifesto. They are the manifestation of the Agile manifesto into these 12 principles. So I'll quickly go through them and we can close the session for today. Number one, our highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of valuable software. So you see, satisfaction of customer is our highest priority. And how can we do that? By continuously giving early delivery and continuous delivery. We will deliver as soon as possible and we will continue delivering to the customer. That means we are creating a value stream for the customer. Customer will maintain the happiness of the customer by consistently delivering value to the customer. Second, welcome changing requirements. Will not oppose the change, will not fight for the contract. We always welcome the changing requirements, even late in the development, even if at the end of the project, right when the project is about to end, customer wants something to be changed, we will not say no. We will take it with a smile. We'll accept it. Now, how do we do that? I'm not going to discuss that right now, but I'll talk about it. How can we do that? But principle is that we should take it with a smile. Agile processes harness change for the customer's competitive advantage. So whatever is in the benefit of the customer, we will respect that. We'll not look at our comfort, our own comfort. We look at the comfort of our advantage of the customer rather than our own. Third point, deliver working software frequently. Whatever the thing we are delivering, product or whatever, we have to keep delivering that on a frequent basis from a couple of weeks to a couple of months with a preference to a shorter time scale. No, if we can deliver after every 1 week or after every 2 weeks, the customer would be more happier. So don't, this gap should not be too much. It should be as less as possible, as short as possible. Fourth principle, business people and developers must work together daily throughout the project. That is a collaboration amongst the stakeholders, all the people and even our team, they should work in tandem. In tandem. There should be complete transparency. Nothing should be hidden from the view. Everybody should know what is happening. They must all work together on a daily basis. Fifth principle, build projects and motivated individuals. Your team should be strong. Your people working on the team should be efficient, should be capable, and should be highly motivated. And once that you have selected the right people, give them the environment and support they need and trust them to get the job done. They are good people you have hired. Give them the right environment and support and let them make their own decisions. Team is completely empowered. Sixth principle, most efficient and effective method of conveying information to and within a development team is a face-to-face conversation. That is very interesting. Although you may debate that, written documentation is more important because it leaves a trail or a proof or something like that. But you see, there is always, misinterpretation of something which has been written or which had been emailed or which have been communicated on a telephone. If you are sitting face to face with the other party and they say something and you may not understand it, you may ask the question and the doubts can be clarified on the spot. When you give somebody a written letter or an email, then probably it will waste a lot of time. You read it, you misunderstand it, you may ask for clarification. It will take a lot of time. Face-to-face communication is generally considered the most effective way of communication in the agile world. Although I am not saying that this is always happening, sometimes it is not possible of face-to-face communication, especially when you are working in a virtual environment, like we are doing it now. We are not face-to-face really, but we are trying to emulate we are face-to-face through these video cameras, right? But if we were together in one room and we were talking really to each other, that would have been even better. Don't you agree with that?
Sir.
Okay, the seventh principle, Working software is the primary measure of progress. Here I will call it the working product, the thing which should be the product you are creating. It should be in working order. And when we check that and measure that how much it is working, that could be treated as a measure of progress. That is, rather than looking at the documentation is complete or not, rather than looking at other things, we should just look at the deliverable. If it is really working, even minimal documentation can work. Eighth principle, agile processes promote sustainable development. You see, we were delivering after every iteration. So we were frequently delivering and consistently delivering. So we are sustainable. Means the customer would be happy that this is the minimum they deliver after every 2 weeks. So they are sustaining themselves. So agile process promote a sustainable development. So sponsor, developer, and users should be able to maintain a constant pace indefinitely, no matter how long the project is. But our performance is not going to go down in agile. It is going to be almost consistent throughout. If we deliver 10 units this week and 10 units next week and 9 units next week and 8 units next week, so it's almost consistent, right? It is not that in this week we could not deliver anything. It will never happen in agile. Continuous attention to technical excellence and good design. You know, when you are doing in a small iteration, maybe 1 or 2 weeks, at the end of that, whatever you have done, you do all the quality checks, technical checks, and everything. So you are much more focused than the whole product. In the whole product, you may, may have, not looked at something, you have missed something, but when you're dealing with only few things in just an iteration, probably you can be the best of the best. Technical excellence and good design can enhance your agility. Simplicity is the key in here. The art of maximizing the amount of work not done is essential. Keep the thing simple rather than complicated. I'll talk about the simplicity in later, but generally just remember this principle that simplicity is the key. 11, the best architectures, requirements, and designs emerge from self-organizing teams. As I explained earlier, that you have a very good team selected, they have been provided right environment, and then you have authorized them to do anything they feel like. So the best architectures, requirement, and design, they will emerge from such kind of teams which are self-organizing. They are kind of making their own decisions. Nobody is ordering them. So such a team can perform wonders. Last but not the least, the 12th principle, at regular intervals, the team reflects on how to become more effective, then tunes and adjusts its behavior accordingly. So after every iteration, once they have delivered whatever they have to deliver in that week or in that iteration, they sit down and they do a lesson learned exercise, which is called a retrospective, and they reflect on what they have done right and what they have done wrong, and they immediately improve themselves. In the next iteration, they will not commit those mistakes. Rather than in a predictive project, we do that lesson learned exercise at the end of the project, and that is of no use to our existing project. That might be those lessons we learn may be useful for the next project, but not for this project. But here, because we are every week or 2 weeks at the end of every iteration, we are actually improving ourselves and we are applying those lessons immediately onto the next iteration. So we are continuously improving. So these are the 12 principles of Agile. We can discuss these things more. I will like to close the session today and the next class tomorrow we'll be starting, will be from this slide onwards. Remember, the slide number is 19. If I forget, then you must remind me. Any questions you have so far? Or any closing remarks?
Sir, the Agile Manifesto was developed because of a software product, correct?
Yeah, it started with a software product, but this is non-universal. You have to just tweak a little bit of definition, like the word software could be replaced with a product and things like that.
Because in this agile manifesto clearly applies to my line of work. That's all I have to say.
Exactly.
Because I mainly deal with software.
Right, but yeah, of course. But you see, this is not only for the software. Now it has been realized that whole industry, whole project management industry can use it if it suits them. Yes. Any other comments, Mazen? Comfortable?
Yes, it is fine for me.
Good.
Everything is clear.
Gonzalez?
Yeah, I'm fine. It's different from the topic. So the schedule will be Saturday, Sundays. I thought it's alternating. I thought it's Saturdays for no.
We don't create Gantt charts in Agile. We have a completely different way of doing it, and that the lesson, I mean, just a moment. We have a principle here, simplicity, right? The 10th principle. Actually, I'll discuss that later on. Okay, we have a new student. I don't know, Cormick, can you please put on the camera and can you tell us who you are? And then we have Ted. We are closing this class. I don't know, new people are joining. Maybe they are from the next class or something. Cormick and Ted, are you from the same class or maybe you are waiting for the next class? Yes, Ted?
Sorry, I'm not sure why my name's up as that. Yeah, it's supposed to be from 6 p.m. Melbourne time, I think, to 10 p.m. Melbourne time.
I'll close this session and the new session will be started. I'm sorry for that. Thank you very much, everybody who are there.
All right, sir. I see you.
Who attended this class. So tomorrow, same time, we will be meeting and I will be starting from slide number 19 onwards. Thank you very much and take care. Bye-bye.
All right, sir. See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.